Hello, 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 and welcome to the final round of the Cross Touring Cup presented to you by Slow Motion Broadcasting. My name is Adam Thompson. I am joined in the commentary booth by Alex Andersen, as almost always. And we've got a newbie down here in the production booth tonight by the name of Ian Fisher. Going to be running all the cameras behind the scenes. A little bit of information here on the Daytona Road Course. You know, it's a 24-hour race, but we all know the 24-hour of Le Mans is the most, of Le Mans, I apologize, is the most famous 24-hour race, endurance race of the series that they run. But it's also held here, but it's held in the winter, and the track's lighting system is limited to 20% of its maximum output for the race to keep the cars dependent on their headlights. I'm not going to read through the rest of this. I thought that was an interesting point. We do have a bit of an endurance race for you guys tonight. This is, again, Cross Touring Cup's final round of the season, and they've got a 90-minute endurance race going tonight, Alex. So what are you thinking, man? You excited for this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ever since I knew that Daytona was going to be the last race of the season, I knew that it was just going to be big in terms of turnout and just racing quality. I mean, most races, we've seen cars get pretty spread out. We have some mid-pack racing as well as the fuel strategy, but the cars tend to get spread out. But with this track, and it's definitely not small for a road course, still just over 3.5 miles long, but just off the nature of this track and how fast it is, these cars are going to be able to stick to each other really well. So I would expect to see a lot of side-by-side racing out of these guys, and people to be able to keep up with each other quite well, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you guys do see there at the bottom of the screen, qualifying is underway. Keep track of those times as we go through the points, because we've got an interesting battle on our hands tonight here, Alex. I'll take us through the GT3 championship, though. Bobby Ross is going to be crowned champion tonight. Kerry Cantera unfortunately has some IRL work stuff to do, so he's not going to be with us tonight. Josh Clogg there in third place with 132 might be able to pip Kerry Cantera if Josh can get a great finish here, with Jake Ham following up in fourth with the 115 points. Paul Mikolajczyk back there in fifth with 112. Tyler Coates with 95. Jaden Darling, 94. That's also a very close battle. Jimmy Howitt back there with 51 points. Eric Whitner with 44. And rounding out the GT3 points is going to be Darian Lozano. And I will let you take the TCRs away here, Alex.
I'm not going to lie, I'm having some issues on my end. I cannot actually see the points, so I'm going to have to run that one back to you. I'll see if I can get this figured out on my end.
No problem. With the TCR points, we've got Robert Schwenkler up there with 88 points. Here's the kicker. We've got Eduardo Pecorini there with 88 points as well. This, basically, whoever wins this race between those two will become the champion of the Cross Touring Cup in the TCR class. Chad Seep back there in third with 83, with James Keir back there in fourth with 68. We saw a great battle between them at the last race here in Cross Touring Cup. Kevin Irwin back there with 54 points. Jerry DiPiero back there with 53. Another very close battle. Quite a few battles going on here, and it is going to be close. Brennan Horan, though, honestly not here tonight, unfortunately, back there with 34 points, but let's go ahead and get to some racing. Let's see if we can get some qualifying here on track for us. Ian? Hey, there's one. We got Josh Clogg here. Let's see exactly where he is. Is he coming through the final corner right now? It looks like he is. He is in Sector 4. Running 3 green sectors so far. See what he can do. You can see Bobby Ross up there with a 145.204 right now. Rob Neville with a 147.364. Josh Clogg coming through the chicane, or the bus stop there on the backstretch. Now coming into turn 3, into turn 4. Going to be flying down that front stretch. See what he can do. 131, 132, 133 as he's going to round turn 4 and out onto the straight chute. Man, look at that speed he is carrying right now. You can see in that Porsche doing it, whatever he can, sticking as close to that yellow line as possible. What's he going to be able to do? They get 4 laps tonight, guys, by the way. 4 laps, he does. He gets it with the 145.097. Pips Bobby Ross by, wow, Jake Ham gets it to Bobby Ross as well. 0.7 of a second there off of Josh Clogg. 145.168 there for Jake Ham. Now we're on board here with Robert Schwenkler. Right now, Jerry DiPiero's got him beat. We'll see exactly what Rob can do. He set 3 green sectors. Can he set a green 5th to get this in front of Jerry DiPiero at least and line up beside Eduardo Pecorini? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. Jerry DiPiero still up there in second place behind Eduardo Pecorini, who is 1.7 seconds, Alex, clear of the rest of that TCR field.
Yeah, and again, that just goes to show you how fast Pecorini really is. I mean, we've kept having the storyline of can the rest of the TCR field catch up to Pecorini, and I know I was mentioning with just the nature of this track and how long the straightaways are and cars being able to stick together, but just off the nature of how fast Pecorini is, I just don't know if it's going to be possible.
No, I don't either. But this is a long race, too. You got to think there could be quite a few mistakes here over a 90-minute race. We're going to be going from daytime to nighttime as well. There are going to be pit stops. There may be tire changes even over a 90-minute race. There are going to be a lot of things. I apologize for the dog barking in the background. He wanted to make one final appearance here in Cross Touring Cup for the final season. But there will be quite a few different variables going on for these drivers that they haven't had to deal with for the first part of the season, the whole season, actually.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a lot of drivers walking into unknown conditions. I would say especially for these TCR cars. I mean, quite frankly, from all the races I've done with them, I've never really been in a TCR endurance race, so this would definitely be a new style of race for me. So I'm not honestly sure what to expect from the TCR class. I have done a couple Daytona 24s, so I know what to expect from the GT3 cars. They're probably going to have to pit, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 times. They can't go very far on fuel, especially over time here at this track. So, but the TCRs, I'm honestly really interested to see what they're going to have to do in terms of fuel strategy to make it to the end, because I've never really seen or been in a TCR race where these cars have had to pit for really anything.
Yeah,
that's over a pretty long period.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting tonight for sure. And speaking of TCRs, we are on board here with Chad Sipe. I had to say his name right because I got scolded the last time I talked to Chad. Not really scolded, he's a good guy. His name is Chad Sipe, but for sake of the broadcast, for the final race of the season, I'm going to continue to call him Chad Seep until season 2, and then I'll change it. So, Chad, one more race, buddy, and then I'll actually get your name right, I promise. But you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Like Chad pulls in the pits there. We see Pecorini rounding the kink into the west horseshoe, I believe that is. Hard on the brakes, just trying to get a nice run through the inside. Brings it nicely onto the curb. Just needs to get a nice crossover here on the straightaway to bring it back onto the oval nicely. And really here, this part of the track, it all depends on the line you take, because especially with how slow these TCR cars are, you really just need to have a great exit off that corner to have good speed through NASCAR 1 and 2. So that way you can just have a nice, consistent, and high top speed and good momentum all the way down to the bus stop. And that's really where this race is going to be decided, I would think, is who can get the better exit and who can get the most slipstream through this full throttle section of racetrack. Yeah,
this is going to be close here, and maybe we'll be able to get a cockpit view, maybe of Eduardo even in this TCR to show. Eduardo's going to make it look easy. Hopefully Eduardo doesn't come into the pits here and he goes around for one more lap. Because, Alex, I do want you to take the viewers here on a lap around this circuit, which, look how big this track is right now through the super speedway section of this. Guess what? It gets a lot tighter.
Oh yeah, definitely it does. You got a nice wide track where you can really just run wherever you please. It's just all a matter of lines at this portion of racetrack, especially for the road course. But down onto the apron, through the tri-oval, you can see him. He does what he wants to, brings it up a little bit. Not as much as I would have expected, honestly, but hard onto the brakes into just a continuous left-hander that you got to be really careful going through. But he brings it nicely into the S's. He's going to have to brake hard into the east horseshoe. The east and west horseshoes are two 180-degree right-hand corners that bring you towards the infield section, or in case of the west horseshoe, back towards the racetrack. But it looks like Eduardo and we're not going to get a flying lap in from him. He parks it.
Looks like we got Jaden Darling here maybe on a flyer. Maybe we can get on the rest of the track with him. There we go. I don't know where we are exactly on track. Oh, yeah, we do. Right where we stopped.
All right, so, yeah, we'll bring it right through the West Horseshoe. We're back in a GT3 car now, so hard on the brakes. Honestly, this is a corner that I have trouble with. It's a pretty bumpy corner. It's pretty dusty, pretty easy to lose control through. I think it might even be off camber. Put full throttle back onto Super Speedway 1 and 2. Again, right here for this portion of racetrack, it is just all about your line and how well you can hold it. The better you can hold your line, the higher your top speed. But also, it really depends on where you want to go on the racetrack, because what Jaden does, he brings it right out to the wall after going high in the center of the corner, but hard braking into the bus stop, one of the most famous corners, but now known as the Le Mans chicane. Just nicely through there, nice, smooth, and consistent, brings it back onto the oval. She's going to be full throttle from here to the start-finish line. It's just a matter of what he can do when he gets there. He's currently last. I would say he hasn't really gotten a serious lap in. I'm not sure if this one might be one as well. It looks like he's already entering the 150s, so just Jaden Darling, I would honestly say probably just trying to give a nice, smooth run in. I would believe that this is where he's starting his flying lap, so hard onto the brakes, he brings it out to the wall to get a nice turn in. Ooh, looks like he understeered there in the corner, and that's sideways and into the grass, and that, I think, will do it for the end of his qualifying run as we go on board of Jake Camp. 3/10 off your provisional pole sitter of Josh Clogg. So he's going to hard brake into the West Horseshoe. Just nice, smooth, and consistent. Don't have to turn that much for this corner, really. It is a hairpin, but I would say one of the more faster hairpins. Then hard braking into the corner that leads you back onto the oval. Gets a nice exit. Brings it gently up onto the banking. I'm just going to keep it. Looks like he's running the middle, then bringing it back down to the bottom to try and gain some speed. That is a viable tactic by bringing it up the hill, then running it back down the track to try and get more momentum. Ooh, sends it below the apron there, probably just trying to gain more speed. A pretty smart strategy. But down the back straightaway and on the brakes into the bus stop. In fourth gear, just whipping it through that corner, really on the limits. Ooh, that might have been an off track there. But it looks like this lap, judging off his dashboard, probably not a lap that he's really trying to push on, so I think that he might be going for one here, but I don't know if he's going to have the time. Just full throttle back down the front straightaway and nicely across the start-finish line to complete your flying lap. Might have taken a bit, but we got it done.
Alex, is it just me, or does that Lambo scream compared to that BMW we were on board with when we were riding on with Jaden Darling? That thing was absolutely screaming in my ears when we were on that onboard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know volume characteristics isn't really something that depends on the performance of cars, but honestly, if I'm going towards any specific car that has an advantage on a track where you want more power than anything, I honestly say a louder car might be better. I don't know, it might just be me, it could be the way the exhaust is constructed, but honestly, a louder car could mean more power out of that Lamborghini, and that means more speed down the straightaways, which could lead to a faster lap and maybe an overtaking opportunity on a car in front.
I'm going to start calling you Jeremy Clarkson. Power, noise, speed. Anyways, yeah, so here right now, looks like we're about to finish up qualifying here. We'll get the grid set for you here, but I do want to mention Josh Clogg. When I said he pipped Bobby Ross, he now absolutely has done the deed. Josh Clogg there in first place with a 144.842. Jake Ham there in second with about 0.3 of a second off. Paul Mikolajczyk there in third, lining up next to Bobby Ross. Bobby Ross, again, even though he's won this season, you think he probably may still want to win the race again as well. Eric Whitner there in fifth, lined up next to Robert Neville. New driver, welcome in Robert. Jaden Darling there in seventh, next to Jimmy Howitt. And up over to you for the TCRs, Alex.
Over the TCR, excuse me, I just lost my entire train of thought. Eduardo Pecorini leads the TCRs yet again by 1.1 seconds over Jerry DiPiero with a 1:57.3. Further down towards the field, Robert Schwenkler in P3. He's going to have a bit of work to do trying to secure higher a higher position on the podium, 1.4 seconds off. Chad Sipe, I'm going to say it correctly for you, Chad Sipe there in P4, 2.1 seconds off pole. James Gear P5, and Kevin Irwin rounds out the field and the TCR class in P6.
So we are still sitting here gritting right now, and of course, wouldn't it be Jimmy Howitt that we're waiting on at the moment? So while we do have a moment here, Alex, look, first of all, look at that sunset. Man, iRacing does a great job with some of these tracks that they have here. Obviously, they're no slouches in what they do, but man, the sun's going down, no pun intended, on Season 1 here of Cross Touring Cup, but the sun's also going down in the race. So give me your thoughts here as the sun does set. We know that will start to affect the cars and the characteristics. What do you expect here? Where do you expect these cars to really start to run into issues first?
Well, I'm honestly really looking towards the pit strategy. This is the longest race that we have covered and seen in the Cross Touring Cup. It's twice the size of a normal length race, so you're really gonna have to look out for how these guys choose to adjust their strategies to try and make it to the end, especially in the TCR class, who in my opinion I have yet to see in a race of this length. So I'm just interested towards the strategy and how these guys are going to handle that, but it really all depends on what these guys are able to do by themselves in just terms of racing, because yeah, you can make up a lot of time on pit road with a different strategy, but it also takes a really fast race car to keep it up there.
Yeah, it does. Strategy, we've seen Bobby Ross win and lose races, and we've seen Josh Clogg win way more than lose due to pit strategy, so it's definitely going to really be anybody's game. And you can already see, look at the amount of space these TCRs are giving these GT3s. I'm going to let you take it away for the green flag, Alex, because you know how to do it, my man.
All right, well, thank you. I do appreciate that. Just slowly and carefully down the front straightaway. The sun is setting in the racetrack. The sun is setting for Season 1 of the Cross Touring Cup as this iRacing safety car pulls into the safety of the pit lane and into the restart zone. We are underway for the final race of Season 1 of the Cross Touring Cup. Josh Clogg with a great restart there. That puts Paul Mikolajczyk and Jay Cam side by side for second. Looks like Paul's going to get the spot by the time they have to break into turn 1. Very close, still side by side for second there. And it looks like Jay Cam has his nose out front. Looks like he is going to clear there for second place. Now we have to see how he can get to Josh Clogg there. He's going to have to make up a decent bit of time to do it, but back towards the TCRs. I want to take a look back there. Robert Schwenkler has already overtaken Jerry DiPiero. Now he needs to focus forward and see if he can maybe finally catch up to Eduardo Pecorini. It's all going to be a matter of time as they come through the kink in the infield section. Just moments before hard braking into the West Horseshoe. You can see the GT3s flying by there at the bottom of your screen. Hard braking, just look at the rear brakes glowing on these front wheel drive cars. Looks like nicely onto the yellow curbs. Eduardo Pecorini with definitely, I would say, a better exit line, makes up 3/10 in that corner alone. Rob's going to have some work to do in this last corner that brings him back out onto the oval, and it looks like he does improves that gap a little bit, makes up, I would say, a tenth, maybe a tenth and a half as they come onto the oval, but back up towards the GT3s. Jay Cam has not let Josh Clogg go away, still just under 4/10 of a second back. It was 6/10 by the time they were in the infield, so Jay Cam, he's definitely had a good opening lap here. Now we have to see if he can keep it consistent to try and make a run at that lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is where it's going to happen. You can see that slipstream really taking effect. Jay Cam within 2 seconds, within 2/10. I can even keep up within 1/10. Jake may go for it here on Clogg. Clogg's going to defend that inside line. Oh, this is going to be close. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Clogg does have the preferred line around through there, but is Clogg going to bring it out wide? No, that is a great braking zone there by Josh Clogg. Clogg barely able to stay ahead on Jay Cam. Paul Mikolajczyk still back there in third with Bobby Ross back there in fourth. Looks like there may have been a bit of a overtake there. Eric Whitner. Jimmy Howitt got by Eric Whitner. Jimmy Howitt already up into 5th place. Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, he's made up 3 spots since the start. A great start from him. Honestly, with the way it looks like he started last, so definitely a great job from him. But looks like Jay Cam, he's really following really well in the tire tracks of Josh Clogg. looks like he gets a better exit there as well, keeping it closer towards the inside. And this is where you just got to feel rewarded as a driver. You made it through the infield section, still in the draft of that car ahead of you. Now you can just enjoy a nice, decent stretch of slipstream to try and catch up to that car in front of you and make a move. I would say it's going to happen back towards turn 1, but it just all depends on where Josh Clog can make it. Or excuse me, Jake Ham can make it, because we saw how well Clog defended the inside line going into turn 1, and that looks like the preferred line through there so far.
Jake is closer, though, on this lap. Jake is much closer to Josh Clog than he was on the following lap, but he gets a little bit wide through the bus stop. Doesn't seem to really hurt him that badly. Jake is there, and he is going to mount an attack already within almost 0.2 of a second. Going to be within 1/10 by the time they come out of turn 4. They're going to be side by side by the time they get to that start-finish line. And look right behind him there in the back of the screen. You got Bobby Ross coming up there on Paul Mikolajczyk. But right now, we've got this same. Might as well be watching a replay right now of Jake Ham trying to make it around the outside of Josh Clog into turn 1. Josh Clog says, no thank you. Try again on the next one, my friend.
And it looks like to make a move there, Jake Ham might just have to try and pull a bit of a switch back there.
Oh, we got a battle behind us there with Bobby Ross and Bobby Ross and Eric. My goodness, Bobby Ross and Paul Mikolajczyk as well. Bobby has really closed that gap as well.
Yeah, Bobby's done a great job at that, just sticking to the back bumper of Paul Mikolajczyk. But going back up towards these leaders, I want to say that the only real way that Jake Ham can fancy a move around Josh Clog, especially in turn 1, is if Jake can try and pull a bit of a switchback on Clog, which may or may not work. It all depends on how he can get Josh to react going into turn 1. But Bobby's still trying to get around Paul Mikolajczyk. He's definitely has the pace to keep up with him. It's just a matter of whether or not he can make a move. But Jake Ham, in order to get around Josh Clog here, as we see Paul just flashing his headlights for a little bit of fun there, back in third, Jake Ham, to make a move around the outside, he's going to have to be really wise on the brakes. And my question is, Adam, do you think it's too early to try and do that?
No, it is not. Not when you're 0.2 of a second going through the bus stop. It's not. Watch out. Jake Ham's coming this lap. But I also, before we get back to this battle at the front, which is going to happen in turn 1, Chad Seep has closed the gap there on Jerry DiPiero, who's closed it back up on Robert Schwenkler as well. We've got a TCR battle going on as well. Ian, you thought this was going to be an easy one tonight. Guess not, buddy. You've got your hands full.
Yeah, and
Bobby Ross has made the move there on Paul Mikolajczyk, by the way.
Yeah, just a lot of moves happening all over the racetrack, like you just mentioned with Bobby Ross getting around Paul Mikolajczyk. We're currently on board with Chad Seep in his Honda Civic. Oh, excuse me, I meant Chad Sipe. I'm trying to get it right for you, man. I really am, but hard onto the brakes, into the bus stop, down into the 4th gear. You can see a little bit of counter steer as he went into the first part of that corner.
We've got a wreck.
We've got a wreck. Jake Ham.
Jake Ham has crashed.
Oh, and that just looks like, just by the angle of where he had to pull out from, looked like he might have just lost it in the East Horseshoe. I'm not sure what happened there.
We're about to find out here. Looks like he is still on the tail there of Josh Clog, getting on the brakes there into turn 2. Oh, he just loses the rear end, and look out, Paul! Woohoo!
And it looks like that's how Bobby was able to get around Paul. Just unfortunate. It looks like Jake maybe just way too hard on the brakes trying to keep up with Clog, and just gets the rear tires a bit too hot when he goes to turn for the corner. They just say, nope, I'm going this way, and around he goes. So this is going to be really difficult for him to make up. Cars, they do get pretty spread out around here, and it's harder to make up time than you think, especially when the cars in front of you are in a bit of a slipstream contest. So it's not going to be easy for him to make up that time, and honestly, you got to feel for him. I mean, he had the speed keep up Clog, and maybe even the speed pass him, but just couldn't get it done. But back towards second, it looks like Bobby Ross and Paul Mikolajczyk still battling for position there. I do believe Bobby Ross is able to get around Paul out of the bus stop that time by, but Paul probably going to fancy a move to try and get that spot back. Now it looks like he's just riding in line behind Bobby, just taking it nice and slow through turn 1 they come.
Here's the thing that I want to say real quick, Alex, is I've raced against that yellow and black Porsche there in the front, that fiercely forward car of Josh Clog. And let me tell you what, if you give that guy an inch, he's going to take a mile. That gap right now is 4 seconds, and he may be one of the best drivers I've ever raced against. He knows how to hold gaps. Now, he's not racing anybody anymore. He can just chill out. You still got almost 80 minutes left in this race. You got more than 80 minutes left in this race. You're chilling out. You're getting into your groove. You're going to drive it into nighttime, and we're going to see how it goes. Speaking of driving into nighttime, back there with Jerry DiPiero and Robert Schwenkler, we thought Rob was going to be pulling away from Jerry. This was going to be a battle with Rob and Eduardo. Think again, because Jerry DiPiero is trying to make a move on Rob.
Yeah, and Jerry DiPiero is a great run down into turn one. Looks like he tried to look to the inside there, but Rob covered that up nicely. And now this has become a 3-horse race for second place between a Hyundai, an Audi, and a Honda. So 3 manufacturers going at it for 1 spot on the podium. Only 1 car can get that far up. So right now, just as they come down the back straight of the infield portion and through the kink, this is all a section of just who can keep their line the most consistent, because as soon as they get onto that straightaway, it's going to be a matter of who is the most draft, which honestly, if I'm in any position of these 3 cars, I would want to be in Jerry DiPiero's spot right smack dab in the center. I'm going to have an arrow push from Chad Slight behind me, and I'm going to have a nice slipstream run on Robert Schwenkler in front of me, and I'll be able to get a nice run down the straights to make a move on Robert Schwenkler. And honestly, I would say that's probably Jerry DiPiero's best bet if he wants to move himself up into second.
Oh my goodness, we've got a wreck. Josh Clogg has crashed as well. Maybe we can get a replay of that. I am so sorry that commentator's cursed you, Josh. It looks like it's going to happen here going into turn 1, maybe. Does he just lock it up and lose the rears? Yes, he does.
He just overshot it.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like exactly what you said. Locked up the rears, hard on the brakes, and just overshoots the corner. But overall, he did lose his 4-second gap, but it could have been worse. He put himself back in P3, yes, but he's still within striking distance of the 2 cars in front of him. And with how fast he is, if I'm him, I'm not going to be too disappointed, and I'm just going to focus on the future. He definitely still has a shot at this race. You see, take a look at Paul up here as we go on board in the cockpit view.
Everybody up here flashing their lights right now, trying to give Bobby a seizure. That's not the way. That's not good racecraft, guys. Come on now. You can't make the leader seize out.
I mean, hey, whatever works, man. I mean, if you're trying to win a race against some of the fastest guys in the field, might as well try all you got. So
yeah, good point. Good point.
On that cockpit view, you could really just tell how far apart these cars look when really they are separated by less than a second. All of them are. So Paul, he just really needs. We know Bobby Ross is one of the fastest drivers in the garage. He's just. It amazes me how fast that number 33 Mercedes can go around any racetrack. Doesn't matter what it is. So Paul just really needs to keep his head clear here, not make a mistake like Josh Clogg and Jake Ham have, and just try and keep that car clean and just keep it on the back bumper of Bobby Ross to try and make a move down one of the straightaways, which honestly, judging off just the way this race is going, would probably be the best opportunity.
My goodness, Paul went for a very late move there on Bobby Ross going into turn 2, but wasn't able to make it stick. And we have had a bit of a shakeup here in that TCR field as well. As you can see, Jerry DiPiero is now ahead of Robert Schwenkler, but that wasn't without a bit of drama. I'm seeing here on our overlay that Jerry passed Rob, Rob passed Jerry, Jerry passed Rob, Rob passed Jerry, and then Jerry passed Rob again in the span of about 2 corners. So, yeah, that's we're going to see exactly what happens as they're going. Oh, my goodness. Are they about to try to take this 3 wide down the straightaway of Daytona with 75 minutes left in this race? Nope, it's just Jerry, Rob, Jerry, Rob. Rob there on the inside. Jerry must just get brave on the brakes. No, he lets Rob overshoot the corner, maybe.
I've seen stuff like, I've seen 3 wide in the Itami 2 Mazda Global MX-5s. Maybe we'll see that in Spec 5 comes here. But just like that, they're side by side once again. Just position completely swapped. So this is really going to all depend on what Jerry DiPiero can do on the inside. Even as they come into the first corner, there's still as they come out of it, and it looks like Jerry DiPiero just able to clear Robert Schwenkler, who's just not close enough to get that gap closed all the way to make a move around that 177.
Look out, though.
But
Rob
Robert
getting
Schwenkler-
loose under braking. A very aggressive move there into turn 2. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Now, Jerry's going to have this inside line going into, what corner is that? Help me out, Alex. Turn 4 and then into turn 5.
That's the West Horseshoe.
Okay, we'll see. Nope, Jerry's going to be able to get that one back and play on, boys. You got a whole front stretch coming up ahead of you.
And it looks like Robert Schwenkler just decides that even with how aggressive he's been side by side through the kink, not this early, not yet. It's probably one of the hardest corners to go side by side through, even though it doesn't look like it. It's a very high speed, sharp corner, even if it isn't a very big angle, but you can just see how close these gaps have been. I mean, Schwenkler ticks off 7/10 on lap 2 of this race. Piero gains 4 of it back, and then 5 of it back on laps 3 and 4. Then just under a 10th of it back on lap 5, and then Robert just cuts into it again. This is not what you want to do. All right, I'm just going to say, this is not Ooh, I thought they made contact there. That was close, and I thought Robert was about to go side by side there. And honestly, side by side to the bus stop is something I would never attempt unless the car in front of me is a snail and I can pass it in around half a second. So it's just a very dangerous spot to try and even think about a move. But obviously, with the way these guys have been driving, I really think that they honestly could quite handle it. But down this front straightaway, they come. Robert Schwenkler, it looks like he's pushing Jerry DiPiero down the front straightaway. Looks like he might be trying to push him into the first corner faster than he wants to go. It's like just a bit of mind games from that number 235 Hyundai.
Oh, and he does! Jerry's going wide!
No, it almost worked. Jerry DiPiero, he goes wide, but he's able to keep it on the course and maintain his position. A great defensive move from Jerry DiPiero to hold on to that spot. He defends the middle of the racetrack coming into the East Horseshoe.
Wow, this is some great racing by these three. Chad Seep, I apologize, Chad Seep, I'm kidding by the way, is still back there just waiting for one of these two to make a mistake, maybe run into each other. Rob, you can see swerving left, right, very, very aggressive right now, wants to try to find a way to get back up there to Eduardo Pecorini, who is already 8 seconds ahead of these three battling right now. Look at Rob, he's still thinking about going to the inside, coming on to the backstretch here of, turn 12, or I'm sorry, turn 7.
And even with this race, that's a Mercedes behind him.
Oh no, look at this!
I didn't know Mercedes had a TCR entry, but here he comes around the outside. Bobby Ross, the leader of the GT3 class, around the outside. Josh Klog and Paul Mikolajczyk following.
That is one very fast TCR. Oh my goodness, Paul Mikolajczyk barely slides through there. Oh, Rob up into the wall.
I can't believe what I'm watching. I can't believe what I'm watching, Bob. Get a bit of a Cars 1 reference in there. Gotta get one in at least every once in a while. But look at just how close those gaps are for those GT3 cars. And looks like Josh Klog has gotten around Paul Mikolajczyk. And he's making a hunt towards Bobby Ross. He wants that lead and that gap back, and he's definitely going for it. He's closing the gap down the front straight. And just under a 10th as they get to the start-finish line. Around the outside he goes. I wouldn't expect Bobby Ross to outbrake himself here. He's a very quick driver.
Oh, no, he does!
Cursed him. All right, we're making a public service announcement. My name is Alexander Andersen, and I have commentators cursed Bobby Ross in the Cross Touring Cup at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course. You heard it here first, folks. I done did it. Going into the first corner, looks like just way too heavy onto the brakes, just loses the rear end, and now it's back to a 1v1. Just we get a replay of that, hard on the brakes into turn 1, right about where I said that I wouldn't expect Bobby Ross to make a mistake, and around she goes in turn 1. Looks like he's able to keep it from getting any damage, but just an unfortunate position to be stuck because he has to wait until he has a clear track to back up, and now this is where Paul Mikolajczyk has to show his speed to keep up with arguably the fastest guy on the racetrack in this race, even though we still have Jake Ham back there poking in with a 4.2 second gap, but Jake Ham has been slowly eking away at this gap to Paul Mikolajczyk.
Well, take a gander there at that fastest lap. That is held right now by Mr. Jake Ham. So, hey, he has got quite a bit of time here to make this up. About 70 minutes left in this race, just a little over 70 minutes. So we're not even to a distance where these guys are used to running yet. So, yeah, Jake's got plenty of time to catch him. You can see that gap still coming down, 3.8, and he has no draft right now either. Bobby Ross 10 seconds behind him. Jake is out in free air right now, which is going to absolutely kill him. Oh my goodness, Josh Cloggett, and think about making an early pit stop. Paul Mikulicek coming in too. Oh my goodness, are they going to make contact? No, they both stay way well away from each other, and here comes Jake Ham behind him. Holy cow, I saw tragedy about to strike there, Alex.
And it looks like Paul swapped his brakes for Guido from the first Cars movie with how quick he was able to slow down there in entering pit road. I'm honestly shocked he didn't get a speeding penalty there, unless he did, which completely invalidates my point. But anyways, Paul Mikulicek, just a very aggressive move on the brakes, ends up side by side with Josh Clogg by the time they get to the timing line. And that's just expected for these GT3 cars to only be able to go around 18 minutes. And these TCRs, just of how less powerful they are, they're definitely going to be able to go a lot further. And just look at how fast Eduardo Pecorini is off of those gaps. As all of the GT3 cars are in pit road this lap, you can just see how much faster Eduardo Pecorini is. And really, this race is just going to be a walk in the park for him, as you just see those rear brakes absolutely glowing there as he comes back out onto the oval. And just what a performance from this driver this season. And I want to say that Robert Schwenkler either pit or died.
So TCRs, I was about to bring those up actually. So I'm looking here at our timing, and it appears as if Rob Schwenkler went off track and got passed by Chad Seep, but then he also entered pit lane. So I'm wondering if that off track that Rob got was him coming into the pits. And is that the first strategy move we've seen by one of these TCRs? Remember, this isn't a normal race. This is double the time these guys normally run. So maybe Rob has run enough laps around here to know the strategy of this track. And you never know, that may be that ace that Rob's holding in his pocket.
Yeah, but I can't help but think that it's just too early to make a move like that. If he's pitting around, give or take, every 20 minutes, you can say that he's going to have to pit definitely an extra time on that strategy. And I just can't help but thinking that this strategy is just not beneficial. I think it would be better for him to just stay out, try and make up a bit of time on the cars around him, and just try and help himself here, as looks like Eduardo Pecorini passes Jaden Darling through pit road. And looks like Paul Mikulicek was able to get the lead off pit road. Josh Clogg pushing him down the front straightaway. This is something else I've seen from the Idemitsu Global Mazda MX-5 Cup, but hell, it's working a GT3 car, so why not?
Is he going to make the move? If he makes this move around the outside, it would be something spectacular, but Paul says, no. Try again, Josh. I've seen you do this to me. I'm going to hold that inside line. Here they come into turn two, still flashing their lights at each other. You can tell these guys are having a great time, and why not? This may be the best racing we've seen here in Cross Touring Cup so far this season, Alex.
And you can see how well Paul Mikulicek was able to block Clogg's exit line there, just exiting in the middle of the track. Clogg had to check up there. Doesn't cost him a lot of time, but I want to take a look at these gaps real quick. Take a look at that third place car. We mentioned him quite a bit. He may or may not have self-spun earlier from second place, but he's currently in P3, 4/10 behind the car in second.
Where did he come from? And he pitted with those guys.
And that is all time, Adam, made up from pit stops and pit stops alone. So if anybody has their pit strategy checked out, or at least their pit line checked out, I'm going with J-Cam. He just made up 4 seconds on pit road. Whether it was fuel, whether it was his entry or exit line, he made up a crap ton of time just off pit road.
Wow. And I know this battle is hot and heavy and fierce, but right now we've got Chad Seep 0.3 of a second behind Jerry DiPiero right now, but we aren't going anywhere at the moment. We've got Josh Clogg, J-Cam, and Paul Mikulicek all jostling for position, and we haven't even come out of turn 4 yet.
Yeah, side by side for second, probably going to be side by side for the lead in a second here. Looks like Josh Clogg able to hold J-Cam right behind Paul Mikulicek, but it looks like he still might lose P3 as they come down into the first corner, and it looks like he will J-Cam just barely able to clear Josh Clog as they come into the S's. Just magnificent racing, and it looks like with these cars sticking together, I think I might have did the opposite of a commentator and actually guessed something right for once. So you know what? I'm going to give myself a round of applause over here. So definitely fantastic racing with side-by-side through the kink. Not something I would recommend doing. Jake Ham able to hold his own around the outside, almost loses the inside to Josh Clog as they break into the West Horseshoe. As they come up on Jaden Darling, Paul flashing his headlights up there. I'm surprised his headlights aren't constantly doing that. Side by side, coming back onto the oval for these two, though. Jake Ham still able to hold on to the position, and now this is where it's going to get spicy. Because this is where Jake Ham is going to have his run to get back up towards the lead just off of using the draft down these straights. And just really, it's all going to depend on if Jake Ham can get a better run through the bus stop than Paul Mikulicki to get a great run through the final portion of racetrack to try and make a move for this lead position. Down into the bus stop they come, and out of the bus stop they come. Looks like still a 5/10 gap. Josh Clog is right there, but honestly, if I'm Josh Clog here, I'm pushing Jake Ham to try and catch up to Paul Mikulicki so we can both try and make something, but it looks like Josh Clog trying to make use of that banking and turning down it to boost himself. And he's going to go to the outside of Jake Ham down the front straightaway, but they both have a huge run on Paul Mikulicki. Jake Ham is forced to just sit in line and watch as Josh Clog tries to go for a move around the outside. Jake Ham gives it to him. Just probably so Josh Clog can defend his aggressiveness, but still side by side through the S's. Jake Ham not giving in as they come towards the East Horseshoe. And this is exactly what Paul Mikulicki wants to see. He wants to see the cars that he's racing the most fighting right in his mirror, which would slow them both down. But Josh Clog is able to get around Jake Ham, and his next target is that number 01 car.
This is the craziest. I've been holding my breath the last lap. I got a headache. I had to remind myself to breathe, Alex. This is some great racing going on between these three drivers right now, and you still do. You guys keep an eye on that timing tower there. On the top left is Jake Ham, goes just a little bit wide, but he's able to get it back onto the track and hopefully stay in the draft of these top two. But anyways, Chad Seep still there on Jerry DiPiero. Keep an eye on that timing tower, but we are still here on this GT3 battle as Josh Clog is closing back in on that Ferrari of Paul Mikulicki. With that being said, I'm going to take a breath. Alex, you've got a shout out here in the YouTube chat from Clark Nance. He says, hi, Alex.
Hello, Clark. It's been a while since I've talked to you. Have you been? But I can't be distracted by that for too long because side by side into the bus stop they come. Josh Clog gets the better of it and takes the lead as they come out of the bus stop with Jake Ham just spectating in the background. But Paul Mikulicki is going to be able to make another run back at it. He goes around the outside through NASCAR 3 and 4. He has the run to stick with Josh Clog. He might have to do some side drive down the front straightaway.
Jake loves this. Jake loves to see this. Look at Jake coming out of nowhere. He's going to be there when they get to turn one.
So what is Jake Ham going to do here?
Oh, no way! Oh, my goodness.
He thought about it. He decides better of it as they break down into turn one.
Whoa!
Oh, really close to Paul Mikulicki on exit there. This is absolutely incredible. They're still just separated by just a blanket as they come into the East Horseshoe. Paul Mikulicki looks like almost hit Clog as they came through there, and it looks like back towards the TCR class, this is where those guys can start entering pit road as Jerry DiPiero and Chad Seep take the leap down into the pits. But still up front, it's Paul Mikulicki and the Josh Clog show up here, trying to just jostle for position the whole way round. And again, we're on that long straightaway section, so it's bound to get crazy once again here.
And watch out. Now Jake Ham is closer to Paul Mikulicki. But you did mention that car in the middle. If Jake Ham decides to stay behind Paul Mikulicki, at least till the bus stop, Paul's getting a push from Jake, an arrow push from Jake, as well as a slipstream from Josh. So Paul's going to be there. Now the question is, does Jake hold on and sit behind Paul, or does he go for a move? There's no way he does it here. Don't do it here, Jake. Don't do it. And he doesn't. He stays back. Whoa, gets a little wide, and he loses it. He's in the wall.
He's hard into the barriers. That's going to really mess up the right side of that Lamborghini. And you can already see by the time he had turned in, he was just really wide going through there. I'm not sure if he just outbraked himself and just lost the rears. That looks like exactly what happened. Looks like just tried to outbrake himself to try and keep up with those two cars. Looks like exactly what he did earlier, just trying to push the car and unable to keep it under him, but still back up towards the lead. It's these two jostling for position as Paul Mikolajczyk tried to go to the outside. Josh Clog covers it beautifully as they come into the S's, but Paul Mikolajczyk, he gets there through the S's side by side into the East Horseshoe. First time I've seen that today. Ooh, Paul Mikolajczyk tried to go for the over-under, couldn't get there in time, but that cost him a lot of time to Josh Clog, and he's going to have to make that upper at least hold it by the time they get to the oval, or he might be in trouble.
Yeah, this is not what you want. Paul has got to make some good lines here. Keep that car tight. Run your lines, run some great lines, and get back up there to Josh. Do not let Josh get a 1.5 second lead. No! As Paul catches the grass!
Looks like he hit the grass under braking, and that car just loops itself around. Nothing Paul could do there to save it. Ever so slightly taps the tire barrier. Looks like just too close, just trying to get a nice line like you said. Ever so slightly taps the grass patch, and that's enough to send him sideways. Does a nice job minimizing damage, but that's going to put him out of this for now unless we see something happen to Josh Clog, which honestly, with how crazy this race has been so far, I wouldn't be shocked.
Here's the deal, Alex. We still have 60 minutes of racing left, my man. So who knows what could happen here in the next 60 minutes of the most crazy race Cross Touring Cup has put on this season. Guys, if you are looking to join a league, I do have the link in the description of the Discord for Cross Touring Cup. They are recruiting for Season 2. Next season is going to be the GT4s and the GT3s. So if that is something you guys are interested in, please, please, please join this league. We can get more racing like this. Yours truly is going to be racing in it next season as well. So hopefully I can give you guys a little bit of excitement as well. But we're not done yet. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, James Keir is back on the back of Chad Seep.
I don't know how this could have happened. I mean, James Keir, he definitely was running some consistent laps, but not as fast as his fellow competitors. And all of a sudden, he's made up a decent gap here.
What has happened to Clog?
He might be in position.
What happened to Josh Clog?
Well, we're back at racing again. Josh Clog loses a 6-second lead, and I think that was just the overlay bugging out.
Okay, it was. It was the overlay. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, I'm going to get a heart attack.
I about lost it.
Anyways, Josh Clog still about 8 seconds in the lead.
I'm not gonna lie. I might need some life alert over here in a second. If this race continues the way it is, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man.
But
okay.
Absolutely crazy racing here. Josh Clog, he's got a nice consistent gap, and if he doesn't make a mistake, I want racing. I want racing again like it was. I might have damn near had a stroke at least 37 times, but it was fun. It was entertaining. So you know what? I'm calling it right now. Entering turn 1 or in the East Horseshoe. One of the two. It can be either. Doesn't matter. Josh Clog is going to lock up the rears by overshooting the corner. He's going to spin. And he's going to spin at just a perfect time for Paul Mikolajczyk to get 2 tenths out in front of him. Then they're going to race again.
If Josh
we're calling it right now.
If Josh does this and he watches this broadcast back and you jinx him like that, I am gonna go ahead and just stay out of the backlash that you get from Josh Clog. I'm just kidding. Josh is a great guy, so you won't get any. He'd probably laugh it off anyways. But he's already gone through that first part that you mentioned, and there he is through the horseshoe, and he makes it through both of them.
All right, it didn't work. All right, so you know what? Here we're gonna try a different strategy. In the West Horseshoe, or in the corner coming back onto the oval, or in the bus stop, doesn't matter. Josh Clog is going to perfectly make it through the corner, no issues. I'm going to bet myself 25 cents. So if I lose the bet, I have to pay my desk 25 cents because I have to pay something 25 cents.
Okay.
But if I win, my desk has to pay me 25 cents. So honestly, I don't know how an inanimate object can pay me or me pay it. So I think this is a net win-win situation. So we're going to have to see what happens to Josh Clog as he comes through the bus stop. So we see Robert Schwenkler just minding his own business through NASCAR 1 and 2. He's moved up 2 spots ever since the start of the race and is best lap is a 1:58.045, so he's laid down some pretty consistent lap times here. He's been doing pretty good so far consistently in that number 235 Hyundai. Nicely into the bus stop, and it looks like my plans have been foiled again as Josh Clark makes it through the bus stop. So, you know what? Just going to leave it at that. Just going to leave it. I'm not going to say anything. He's going to do it on his own sometime in the race. I'm calling it right now. He's going to do it sometime in the race, and just because I said that, I'm letting everybody, one of y'all know, he's not going to self-serve. Josh Clark, a very consistent driver. He knows exactly what he's doing behind the wheel. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He made it once. He got it out of the way. He figured out how to do it. And because of that, I reckon he's figured out how not to do it. Especially with a 9-second lead. So, unless Paul can make up that time on pit road again, I think that Josh Clark might have this here if he can hold on to it for another hour. But look behind Paul Mikolajczyk. There's a car back there. I'm not gonna lie. There's a car back there. You see it? There it is.
Yeah, by the name of Bobby Ross.
It definitely has 4 tires. It has 4 tires. It's painted black and blue. It definitely has an engine. Oh, we're looking to the right here. This is a common error I've seen with the Mercedes. I've actually seen this before. It's an error with the cockpit where the coordinates on it to position it facing forwards, they're off. Like they're way off. So it's positioned to the left, facing the right. And it looks like it's messed up the roll bar cam as well. So it looks like Bobby Ross, we're seeing some nice roll bar action here and how it's absorbing the impact coming onto the oval. But as we move back over to the TV cameras, Bobby Ross looks like he's been making up a bit of time on Paul Mikolajczyk. He's closed that gap down a little bit. But the thing is, even if he can get around Paul Mikolajczyk, I can't help but think that Paul is still going to be able to fight back just off using the drag down these front straightaways. And we've seen him use that to keep up with Josh Clark and Bobby Ross earlier in this race, so I definitely think he'll be able to use it again.
So, Ian, if you wouldn't mind, real quick, while we've got a little bit of time here before this battle starts getting hot and heavy with Bobby Ross and Paul Mikolajczyk, pull up those GT3 standings, those GT3 points for us. Because right now, I did mention if Josh Clark wins this race, he may have a chance to take second in the championship. If you take a first place, especially with Kerry Cantera not running the race tonight, you get 35 points. Oh, and we had it, and we lost it, and there they are again. So you get 35 points if you win the race. Kerry Cantera is going to get 0. That means Josh Clark, if he wins this race, is going to take second place in the championship.
I'll call the dogs and butt out the fire. We're going to crown ourselves a new second place contenders. Bobby Ross has already locked this up. So, it's like Josh Clark just needs to keep that car clean, and he'll crown himself second place in points at the end of the day. Kerry Cantera, nothing to be sad about if that happens. Still a great season from him. And he's kept that car nicely in the top 3 standings throughout the season.
J-Cam has crashed again. I just saw on the overlay the J-Cam has at least gone off the track again, and you can see he's lost 5 seconds already. We're going to see exactly where this happens is he's going to try to get around the 88 of James Keir, which he does. He's going to do the, oh no, the dreaded brake lock into turn 2, isn't he? Yep.
Oh, he's done it again. And it looks like he did it again. This is the 3rd time he's done that this race. 2nd time in that corner. Just unfortunate for him.
Pecco goes wide. Oh. Pecorini is way off track letting those GT3s go by.
And it looks like he has a big enough gap to where he can afford to do that. Not going to lose much there in that number 347 Hyundai. And looks like just trying to give the leaders room is actually Josh Clark pulled into the pit lane.
Wow.
There. Real quick before we cut to replay. So this is where Paul Mikolajczyk and Bobby Ross might be able to make their moves.
All 3 of them have gone in.
Back in a decent position, and all 3 of them have come into the pits now. So this is really going to all depend on who can get the nicest line through pit road and make up the most time there. Honestly, if I'm Paul or Bobby, it's going to be a bit of a gamble. But honestly, I'd consider taking, if I can estimate it or guesstimate it, around 9 seconds less of fuel. Now, these cars, they do take a decent bit of time to fill up. But if you can make up just off of how you handle pit lane, if you can take around 9 seconds less of fuel, you can catch up to Josh Clark and maybe hope something will happen. So Not sure how they might be able to do that, but it would be really interesting to see if they could. And actually, I think Josh Klog, something might have happened to him on pit road, or he just chose a different strategy. Unless it looks like he actually hasn't pit yet. Excuse me, and it might have just been the overlay bugging out. He has pit.
Yeah, he's going in.
Looks like he made up quite a decent bit of time on Paul Mikolajczyk, but Paul Mikolajczyk is still neck and neck with Bobby Ross for provisionally second place for the GT3 standings here, as Josh Klog makes his way around Jerry DiPiero. He just needs to keep that car clean like he's been doing all day, even after one singular self-spin. As we take a look of the gyro cam, this is a really interesting camera, as it really shows you how much corners are banked. If we keep on this through the bus stop, you can see how much those bumps lift up the right and left front suspensions of this car. And now we can really, this just really gives you perspective on how much the corners here for the oval of Daytona International Speedway are banked. I do believe 28 degrees of banking, and that just shows you how much it is to keep every car that can go through there at just about full throttle the whole way around. So it's just a really interesting way of designing corners to keep cars close together using that slipstream. And obviously it's worked in this race, but take a look back towards Paul Mikolajczyk, because I think Bobby Ross just passed him, or either that or they're in a battle. Because it looks like they just swapped positions twice for me. Bobby Ross gets his nose back out in front again. They're side by side into turn one. Ooh, they keep it even. Bobby Ross tries to cut in there. Might have been going for an over-under and just might have even tapped Paul Mikolajczyk's back bumper. But they both hold on to it as they go into the East Horseshoe. Looks like Bobby Ross has just been slowly more and more consistent than Paul Mikolajczyk so far. And it looks like he's going to fancy a move down the inside through the kink, because honestly he's in a spot where I would have wanted to make a move. But he makes it work, and they both hold on to it through the West Horseshoe. And with how fast Bobby Ross is, he actually cuts too far inside there, which I was just about to take note of. It looks like every time Bobby Ross gets just this close to making a move on Paul Mikolajczyk, there's always just some sort of small error that sets him back 5/10, so right around the corner as they catch up to Jerry DiPiero.
Yep, it's gonna be this is kind of nip and tuck here between these two, and I think we've still got a pretty good battle going on, and this is gonna continue to rage. I am so impressed that these guys have been battling like this for the last 40 minutes, and it's gonna keep going.
Yeah, and it's only going to keep going here, like you just mentioned. As Bobby Ross, he gets a nice exit line through the bus stop on Paul Mikolajczyk. Looks like he's just maintaining a consistent gap that is slowly decreasing as they come through NASCAR 3 and 4. Looks like not going to be close enough on this occasion, but he will be in future laps, definitely, with how fast that number 33 Mercedes is. Looks like Paul Mikolajczyk holding it more towards the bottom, and Bobby trying to keep it up towards the middle. Just keeps it nice and smooth as they break down into turn number one. It's like, ooh, Bobby Ross definitely.
They my both goodness, go wide, that's wide.
And they both outbreak themselves there. And that's just honestly a miracle for both of them, because if Paul Mikolajczyk does that, he loses third place. But if Bobby Ross does that, he puts himself a second and a half behind. So really just even just all around for these two drivers, even in terms of mistakes. So just really, even with how close Bobby Ross can get, I'm not sure if he can get around Paul Mikolajczyk.
Yeah, Paul is really doing a great job here of defending where he needs to defend. It doesn't really matter how much quicker Paul is Bobby is than Paul. If he can't get around him, and that Ferrari just seems, which is weird to me, seems to have the power down the straightaway. And yes, I'm talking about GT3s and not F1. I know this year's different. But that Ferrari just seems to be doing a lot better than I remember it in the past down the straights.
It looks like that might be with the Ferrari GT3 Evo 2020 update. Not sure if you missed that one, Adam, but...
Oh, I did. I definitely missed that one.
But they've definitely updated these cars a bit, so they might have beefed them up a little bit on iRacing's side, giving them just a bit more breathing room to hang on down these straightaways, which is exactly what Paul Mikolajczyk needs in this situation to keep himself in front of Bobby Ross, and he's doing a great job at it, as Josh Claude just set the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:44.7, which it's a really fast lap, but it's honestly not far off of what Jake Ham's fastest time was. Obviously, mistakes have clogged Ham's race. Hey, get it, no pun intended, actually.
He's got jokes.
I never even meant to do that. I just trying to think of words, and that's what popped into my head. So, unintentional joke, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Whoa, Bobby's gonna go for it.
Ooh, he looks like he backs out there as they come towards the kink, but Jake Ham, he's been keeping up with Josh Claude pretty well so far. His fastest lap is only 0.3 off, which honestly for this track, as we take a look at the roll bar POV, this is what you're seeing if you're the roll bar. You can see the steering wheel and not much else. So as we
it may be a camera setting on your end, Alex, because we're seeing it here in the broadcast just fine. You can see him going through there onto exit of turn 3 right now.
Excuse me, apparently if my camera's messed up, I might try and fix that here in a second, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's just that I love that gyro cam. It really gives you a perspective of how, or is it gyro, is it gyro? I don't know. We're going to call it gyro for now because it's easier for me, but hard onto the brakes into the bus stop, and that's just, I really love the way the gyro cam works just because of how much it can show you what these drivers have to deal with in terms of banking and how much G-forces they must have to sit through lap after lap. But Bobby Ross got a fancy move around the outside. He gets that side draft on Paul Mikolajczyk, doing a great job there to keep him even out of oval turn 4. Side by side through the tri-oval. They're going to be separated by just a few thousandths across the finish line. Looks like Paul Mikolajczyk resents the position. No, he's just braking early as Bobby Ross nearly outbrakes himself into turn 1. They're still side by side by the time they get to the S's. It looks like Bobby Ross is going to take that position away.
They're coming up onto a lap car here of Rob Neville, who is another GT3 driver there. You can see him in that Porsche. That's going to be a little different than trying to get around some TCRs here. So going to have to see how exactly, again, Rob is new to this league. He's been doing a great job so far, keeping it clean, staying out of trouble. They're in 5th place right now. Going to see how he deals with lap traffic. Looks like Josh Claude got through there okay, but he's got 2 more drivers who are now racing coming up onto the back of him.
Yeah, and looks like Rob Neville, honestly, if I'm just him, I'm just going to hold my line. And for those of you out there who do not know, the blue flags do not mean let the cars behind you pass. It's simply, or at least in oval racing, could be different for road, but I'm more of an oval guy myself. So on the oval side of things, blue flag just means hold your line. Doesn't mean get out of the way. So if I'm Rob Neville here, I'm just going to hold my line and keep the car in a decent position to where the leaders definitely have the room to get around me, but just not so much to where I am directly affecting the outcome of my race. Because in Rob Neville's position, definitely, I wouldn't say he has the greatest shot at it, but he definitely still has a slim chance of hope. Is actually Paul Mikolajczyk is wrecked. He's gone around, has got it all wrong in the bus stop. Looks like he's catching up to Bobby Ross with a slipstream run into the brakes on the bus stop. Looks like he went in wide and just looped it around. Or it looks like he ends up in the tire barriers that usually block. He usually block people from just skipping that backstretch chicane, so looks like he just got the braking all wrong there and looped it around. And as we see Bobby Ross entering the East Horseshoe, knowing that he doesn't have the heat of racing another car around him. He can take a bit of a breather as we see Rob Neville back there. Paul Mikolajczyk has not entered the pits so far, it looks like, so damage probably minimal on his part, and he's able to keep it together nicely for himself. So I believe that was him back there, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been Eduardo Pecorini. Is Eric Whitner still just chilling in the pit lane, probably coming in for a scheduled stop on his part. And really the next step in this race, we have a bit of a break in the action, and the next step in it is just going to be who pits next and when. And that's where strategy is going to really start to show itself. I mean, it's really when these guys are going to start to just pull out the guessing books, maybe crunch some numbers, and really start to see if they can figure out when they can pit and when they can figure things out for themselves. So
you got to think here, Alex. We're getting to a point now in this race. We have passed that halfway point now. These GT3s are probably going to have to stop 2 more times, and this is when it really does. And there you go. You can see the stint length here for those GT3 drivers. 10 laps. Yeah, 10 laps looks about to be where it's at. They're on lap 6 right now, so they've got about 4 more laps to go. If they're going 10, 10, 10, maybe do you stop a little early, or do you try to push it 1 more lap so you're not having to make a late last lap or last 2 lap pit stop?
Honestly, if I'm one of these guys, I'm probably going to try and make the least amount of pit stops as possible. So I'm going to avoid pitting on the white flagger with Tudio at all costs, because that can just really end your race if you pit at a bad time and end up losing spots. But obviously, if you're in a driver's position where you're not going to lose much hitting it, I'd say go for it. It might be worth the gamble trying to make up time, and if it doesn't work, well, you can know you tried something. So if I'm in Rob Neville's position here, honestly, I'm going to be the type of person that tries just not to really beat others off raw speed, but to just try and beat them off my strategy. Because if I'm in Rob Neville's position, you can really go for 2 things here. You can go to try and stay out as long as possible on each stint to try not have to pit 1 extra time to make up time on the other cars before the end of the race. Or you can just try and run the car extremely fast like a Ferrari strategy in the early 2000s in Formula 1 with short fuel stints and always getting fresh tires when they pit. You can really get some fast laps consistently, and it's almost like running a quali setup out here.
Yeah, excuse me, it is. So this is, this is really what it's going to come down to at this point. You can see these gaps, as do in endurance races, as you'll find out. Everything starts to spread out, and then somehow, some magical way, it all starts to come back together in the end. All of these pit strategies, all of these mistakes, driver fatigue, it all starts to creep in there towards the end. So, as you guys are watching this race right now, please keep in mind, this is a normal thing here in endurance racing, and I would expect, hopefully, as a commentator, that we're going to see the racing that we saw at the beginning. Get ready for some start. We're going to start seeing some wonky strategy calls here. And let me tell you, the guy that's going to pull it off, if anybody does it, is going to be Josh Klog. He does it every weekend, or every week.
Yeah, and we see some interesting pitch strategies from him every race week. So, excuse me for the voice crack there. We're going to add that up to the list of ones that we have covered live here. So, but anyways, besides the point, Josh Klog, he can really pull off any interesting pitch strategy and really just make it work somehow. Like, honestly, you could probably pit every lap and still just find a way to be up front at the end of the race with just how quick and consistent and just weird he can be with pitch strategies. And honestly, for Eduardo Pecorini, we know how fast he is in the TCRs. But moving to GT3s and GT4s next season instead of having TCRs, this is where, if I'm Eduardo Pecorini, I know we're going to have different fuel loads and different tire compounds, but if I'm in Eduardo Pecorini's position, and I know how much faster I am than the rest of the field, this is where I'm going to take the opportunity to try a wacky fuel strategy, and you still in a heat with Robert Schwenkler for the championship. It's really just whoever finishes in front of the other for this race wins the the TCR championship. So if I'm Eduardo Pecorini, I know I have nothing to lose, nothing really to gain up here by continuing to run flat out. I'm just going to try a bit of a wacky strategy to see if I can prepare myself for something like that in Season 2.
Yeah, the only thing Eduardo has to think about here, which is we're watching him drive around the track. This guy is not getting a tire wrong, just kissing, and I mean just kissing those curbs there through the bus stop, driving this car exactly how it's supposed to be driven around this track. And do we expect anything less from this guy? But I get what you're saying there. I mean, next season, again, GT4s and GT3s is going to be interesting to see exactly where Eduardo Pecorini decides to go. There are no restrictions on how many drivers can be driving the cars. There were this season, and there were only, I believe, 2 or 3 drivers allowed in each car this season to try to spread it out just a little bit. So, yeah, it's really everything is up for it's all going to be a gigantic toss to see what these drivers are going to be driving next season. I would expect that these drivers that are in the GT3s right now, a.k.a. Josh Fogg, Bobby Ross, and Paul Mikolajczyk, Jake Ham as well as Kerry Cantera, are so quick in the GT3s, I'd be hard-pressed to see them move to the GT4s.
And honestly, speaking of GT4s, I want to mention something about them. If anybody watching or anybody racing has been keeping up with iRacing on the Instagram and Twitter side of things, you've undoubtedly seen the picture of the rear diffuser of a car. And judging off of everyone's guesses, I've yet to believe that they've officially announced it, but I do believe we are getting another GT4 car. I do believe it is a Mercedes, so you can really think, we know how fast the Mercedes are in the GT3 classes, so you just got to really think how, and if anybody decides to switch to it by the time Season 2 starts, what are they going to be able to do with it? I mean, it's still a GT4 car, but it's still going to be learning a whole new car. It's going to drive different. It's going to have different power outputs. The wheelbase, I wouldn't be surprised if it's different, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see who makes the swap to that car from a normal run-of-the-mill GT4 car to just try and experiment to see which one is faster.
Yeah, this is going to be that would be a very cool addition there to iRacing, I would say, as we're watching Paul Mikolajczyk here on the back of Rob Neville. And Rob gets out of the way, probably going to try to pop back into the slipstream there of Paul and follow him around here down this super speedway section through the bus stop. But yeah, if we could get more GT4s added into iRacing, that's going to do nothing but up the appeal for those GT4 cars. And let me tell you what, those GT3s are fun. I love driving the GT3s, but I honestly think the GT4 may be just a bit more challenging because it becomes more of a momentum car than it does just a raw, flat-out power and grip car like these GT3s are. And I enjoy cars like that, so it's going to be... I already gave away what I'm going to be running next season, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see another car that is an unknown like the Aston Martin was that just came in, as we see Bobby Ross in the pits in a Mercedes GT3, and that Aston Martin just came in and started blowing drivers away. So we'll see what that Mercedes can do if, in fact, it is a Mercedes GT4 that iRacing has almost revealed.
And honestly, just keeping on the topic of GT4s for next season for just a tad longer, I want to mention that just with the differences in all of these cars, you were mentioning the grip and power capabilities of the GT3s and compared to the GT4s, where it really shifts towards a momentum race. And if you've ever seen an iRacing GT4 car, you know what Adam is talking about when he mentions that. If you've taken a look at them, they always never really have huge spoilers. They all just really look like normal road cars with different splitters, maybe a diffuser. And really, the only GT4 car with an actual track wing, the BMW M4, the GT4 version of it, which is the only GT4 car that has a big wing on the back of it. Even with how heavy that thing is, it doesn't really help much, and it merely so much as to helps it to keeping up with the other GT4s. So it's really just going to see how the emphasis switches from the car to the driver and how people are able to adapt to those GT4 cars, especially the TCRs that don't want to make the move up into the GT3s.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting for sure. I'm excited. I mean, I'm a big road guy. I love road cars. So, I mean, I'm into everything. As you know, Alex, we've raced each other, and we've had some great races in all different types of series of racing. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some new road cars. It seems as iRacing is starting to go the way of the road cars recently with that I'm going to call it the F4 car, but it's the Dallara version, I believe. And now
The
these
iRacing Formula IR4.
yeah, that one, and then these different GT4 cars. So excited to see maybe get some more road racers in here. I know this is primarily it was oval dominated, but definitely starting to get more into these into the road sections now. And speaking of road sections, we've got Josh Clogg here trying to get around Mr. Rob Neville. Seems to be able to have it done. And speaking of somebody who is extremely fast, look at that gap by Eduardo Pecorini to Jerry DiPiero. 27 seconds. Yeah, I said that right. 27 seconds between Eduardo Pecorini and Jerry DiPiero. Now, the reason that those GT3s are a little bit spread out right now is because of the pit strategy. And like I said, it's going to start to get a little bit wonky here, I have a feeling. So definitely keep an eye on these gaps up here in the GT3 section as well. It's not over yet as James Keir has made a move finally on Chad Seep. He's finally done it. They've been running nose to tail forever, and I believe he may have made a bit of an opportunistic move there as Chad gets into the back of Keir, but they're still driving.
And it looks like the front-wheel drive, front-end traction is able to keep both of those cars from going around there after really intense racing, and it's only going to get more intense as they get back out onto the oval section. But this is where Chad Seep just needs to keep his head in a good place, just to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, as he almost overshoots that corner just as I was saying that. So, looks like as they come back towards the oval, this is where Chad Seep can maybe make a move back around this number 88 Honda in front of him.
Now, I don't want to bring up old wounds here, Alex, but it was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it, when these two got together on the final lap of what was an all-out knockdown, drag-out battle the whole race. Do you expect a little bit more of the same? It looks like it's already starting to go that way.
Well, these two very aggressive drivers, I've raced alongside them myself, so they really like to push each other to the limits, and it looks like, just as I was saying that, James Keir gets really sideways entering the bus stop, and that's only going to entice Chad Seep back there to try and make a move around, and he looks like he's choosing the outside for now. He's not close enough to get the side draft. He's going to have to pull back in line. There's a run. He needs to pull a bit closer. Get a nice side draft out of NASCAR turn.
You just heard Chad let off there. He's going to try to get a slipstream here and make a quick move around Keir, but he may have let off just a little bit too much coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, it looks like he's just not able to make the move there, but he's still done a great job staking.
Whoa!
Keir. Ooh, looks like
James Keir got extremely loose there in front of Chad going into turn 1, gathers it all up together. And I got a little bit of information here from our producer, Ian. Said they are now about to go through the International Horseshoe. Now I sound fancy. Going through the International Horseshoe there. Then they're going to go through turn 4 onto the West Horseshoe that you were talking about earlier, Alex, as well. And we may see a pass here in the West Horseshoe if we're not careful.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I might have been messing it up the entire race. That might be the East Horseshoe right there. So you know what? Real quick, I'm going to pull up my racing circuits sheet. And, you know, we're going to find out that if I, once again, was wrong here. I've been wrong about a decent amount of things.
No, never. Not you.
Well, you know, I've been wrong about saying that Bobby Ross was a nice, consistent driver when he proceeded to self-spin in turn 1. I don't mean to bring up past probably flashbacks for you, Bobby, but that's just what happened. I do apologize. I will say that I probably had a bit of influence on that myself. I probably might have involuntarily had the Cars 2 EMP ray, so I might have just struck you with it there and just locked up the rears a bit. So my apologies on that. I'll see if I can just try and hide it in the future, maybe not bring it to the broadcast booth next time we do a Cross Touring Cup race. But looks like with these TCR cars, really in this section of the racetrack, I know we've talked about it before, but it's just really where it shifts to just not really the driver, but more towards just the power of aerodynamics. physics, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you'll see it right here. As Chad Sipe pulls ever closer to James Keir down this front straightaway, he won't be close enough to do anything on this
James
occasion.
goes to the outside, though. Chad decides just to let him take that one. I thought Chad may have seen an opportunistic move there down to in the inside of turn 1, but doesn't let it happen, and we're going to watch it again. And as you mentioned that, Arrow, sorry I cut you off there a little bit because these are two Hondas racing as well, Alex. So we are definitely going to see the effects of aerodynamics in full effect as they're the two same cars running the same setups.
Yeah, equal aerodynamic properties and equal car potential equals really all depends going down a straightaway who can manage the qualities of the air better than the car in front of them, using the draft, using side draft, and just using everything that they can to just try and stick with the other car. Looks like Chad Sipe still doing a nice job holding onto the back of James Keir as they come back onto the oval. I don't think he'll be close enough to do something when they get around to the bus stop. So he's just trying to collect that slipstream as they move it, as they come down the oval back straightaway. Nicely up towards the wall to get a nice line through the bus stop. Chad Sipe with a big run.
No, he gets into the back of Keir. Is he going to be able to save it? He does. Keir holds on to it barely. My goodness gracious.
And just as we were talking about braking lines through the bus stop, it looks like Chad Sipe just got it all wrong there.
Oh, just gets into the back of Keir. Looks like Chad is actually holding up for Keir. Great. Oh, my goodness, as Josh Claw goes screaming through there with Keir trying to re-enter the track. Looks like Chad has held up, though, for Keir. Great craftsmanship, racecraft, knowing that may have been on him, and we get to watch these drivers battle just a little longer.
Yeah, and it's like these two just still holding their own with each other, even with aggressive moves. They still know when to be courteous in terms of racecraft, just like we've been just shown with Chad Sipe letting James Keir back by. Not going to pass a car that way, as we have seen in real life racing quite a bit frequently. I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but if you've been keeping up with the American motorsports side of the world that isn't IndyCar, you might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you may want to stop right there, because one of these days is Keir is where is Keir going? That is not a four-wheel drive car, sir. That needs to get back onto the asphalt right now, as he just cuts Chad Sipe off. What is going on? I mentioned driver fatigue. This may be where this is starting to set in.
And here we go as I pull out my my nice $2,000 Snap-on scan tool to take a look at James Keir's car. I think he might have the four-wheel drive model where you can swap between all-wheel and front wheel. But anyways, looks like I'm just messing around a little bit, having some fun. Chad Sipe getting a great run. He actually uses the apron. I was waiting for somebody to do that. And Chad Sipe is the first one to take the bait down the back straightaway. He's going to clear James Keir just barely by the time they get to the bus stop. They're still side by side going into it. They wrecked here a lap ago. They keep it clean this time through. And James Keir is actually, it looks like Chad Sipe might have just murdered a cone. That poor little dude had a family, but James Keir, we know that he can really keep up with Chad Sipe very well. We know that James Keir is very fast, and he definitely knows what he's doing behind the wheel of that Honda to try and keep himself in E4. And we've already seen how James Keir can catch up to Chad Sipe and get around him. And it looks like these two just might have a battle of switchbacks here. Looks like Jake Ham comes into the pits for the GT3 class. Looks like there he is on pit road, just hanging out in his pit stall, probably getting some fuel to maybe go to the end of this race. And I would honestly assume some tires as well if I'm in that position. But these two still very close to each other as we take a look at the pit stop strategy. And it looks like the GT3 cars pitted not very long ago, but I think they will have to again with maybe 5 or 10 minutes to go here. And James Keir's still just doing a great job there.
I apologize. I just want to chime in here real quick. And if anybody watching the broadcast right now, anybody watching the replay, I want you to take a good hard look at what's going on here with James Keir and Chad Sipe. This is what you should do in iRacing if you're in an official lobby. These guys have been racing hard. They've made mistakes, but you can see that they're not getting upset with each other. They've run into each other, almost run into each other, and they're still out there having a great time racing. Please take notes. This is how you're supposed to drive. This is how you're supposed to race. I know tempers get heated, as I've gotten heated before, but this is just, these guys are putting on a clinic for how you should race in iRacing, and we saw it in the GT3s earlier as well, when we had 4 cars up there battling for the lead for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and these two doing a great job just racing nice and respectfully. And it looks like James Keir falling back a little bit from Chad Sipe in front of him. Might have ran out the life on that Honda. He hasn't run out of fuel because he's still gaining on Chad Sipe as they come through at NASCAR 3 and 4.
It's probably all that dirt packed in the radiator.
I wouldn't be shocked, honestly. He's been doing a bit of off-roading, but probably just trying to get some clean air to the nose of that Honda. So it looks like Chad Sipe able to pull away a decent bit here, but James Keir definitely got a bit of slipstream run down that front straightaway to just make up a bit of ground, but it looks like James Keir is able to get rid of it by the time they get to the corner.
So you can see both these guys, lap 32 and 33, they've had invalidated lap times. So both of them have gotten really pretty wild there. And as I mentioned, this is when fatigue does start to set in. And speaking of fatigue, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the pit stop window again, whenever you get the chance, take a look at Jake Ham, who has just come into the pits, and Josh Clogg has yet to pit, as Jake Ham is right on the back there of James Keir. Josh Clogg has yet to pit. Oh, and there's the interval back to what it should be. I was going to say there's no way Jake Ham is 8 seconds behind Josh Clogg. I apologize. There's another overlay issue.
And Josh Clogg, even with Jake Ham having already pit, has just put on a clinic in the later half of this race. Even with Jake Ham having pitted, a 46-second gap to the car in second place is nothing to be short of amazed at. Josh Clogg, we know how fast he is, and we know how consistent and how smooth he is. Even with his mistake earlier, he's still just very consistent and clean all around, and he's kept the nose of that Porsche clean.
Okay, enough about Josh Clogg. Back to the battle between Chad Sipe and James Keir. It is now again within 0.3 of a second. And here they come again. I don't know what is going on with these two. James Keir seems to have the faster car. Every time he's making more mistakes, but he is gaining on Chad Sipe every lap.
Yeah, and ignore what I said about James Keir losing a bit of time there. He's definitely gained it all back by the time they make it back down to turn number 1. And still just 8. Ooh, looks like James Keir gets a really nice exit there. Loses a bit of it on entry, but scoops all of it back up on exit as they come towards the International Horseshoe, which actually I did have the West Horseshoe, right? I did figure that out, but looks like James Keir just going for exit speed here. He gets somewhat of it there. He making up a little bit of time, not much there, but it's definitely still a net game for him in the long run here as we have entered as we have gotten under 20 minutes to go in this race. We see Robert Neville back there catching up to these two.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, again, with Keir, he's going to get him again on this front stretch. Probably after the bus stop. As you can see, Chad Sipe just gets super loose going into turn 6. This is considered turn 7, as you mentioned. This is turn 1 and 2 of the actual super speedway. But Keir just seems to have the all-out pace, especially when it comes to getting through this bus stop as Robert Neville goes around the outside there. Keir just seems to have it. The question is he going to be able to get close enough? Because he is now starting to run out of time, Alex.
Yeah, and if he runs out of time,
Chad Sipe gets a little loose into the bus stop. This is going to give Keir a chance.
not much that James Keir can do right here except just hope he can get a nice draft run through NASCAR 3 and 4 to maybe make a move that by the time they get back to turn number 1 here. So we really have to see. It looks like that gap is coming down wickedly fast for now.
Watch out, though. Here comes Paul.
Up on these two.
This is not what you want to do. You know James Keir wants to go for a move here, but he's behind. He had to wait for Paul Mikolajczyk to get through there, and now he can go for the move. But Keir at that point says, no, I'll try to get next lap. But you can see where Chad gains this time, and this is through this first sector. Chad just seems to be a bit quicker through the International Horseshoe, through that turn 4 kink, and then into that west horseshoe, if I got that right. And then, back onto the super speedway section. That's where Keir gains all of his time. But Chad, way, way, way wide. That is not what Chad wants to do. And James Keir has gotten a net gain on this lap already. And I would expect an overtake here going into that super speedway section.
But I don't know. We have seen how much Chad Sipe can just pick up the pace here in the later stages of the laps to just keep James Keir behind him. It looks like James Keir, he loses a bit of time through the West Horseshoe. Coming back out onto the oval here. They got, that is a GT3 car behind him. I do believe that is Eric Whitner.
That is a beautiful paint job, by the way. We haven't really been on board or seen Eric Whitner that much. And we've been live for about an hour and 12 minutes now. But that is a absolute gorgeous paint job that Eric has on that car.
Yeah, definitely. I really do like the way the red gets a little bit darker there. Really just mixes well with the night lights here in this track. So, looks like James Keir lost a little bit of time on this lap, I would say. Looks like doesn't get a nice run through the bus stop there. He's currently 1.2 seconds behind. He will make up, I would say, around 3 or 4 tenths with the draft that comes through the NASCAR 4.
Man, look at that Euro cam. You can really see there how much banking there it is. Oh, as Keir is going to make a little bit of a call here. Looks like he's going to bring it into the pits. Nice and easy now, Keir. Get her slowed down, baby. Get her slowed down. My goodness, he was wobbling all over the place on the way into the pits.
Yeah, you can definitely see him get sideways there, but he brings it nicely into his stall. This is where you just got to be smooth here. Do not overshoot your stall. You could lose your entire strategies. Actually, he did. He did overshoot his stall, and that is the second car I've commentators cursed this race, and overshoots his stall. That might cost him.
He's taking 4 tires as well.
Chad Sipe. He's putting on new tires, which could help in the fight with just over 15 minutes to go in this race. But unless Chad Sipe makes a mistake as well on entering pit road, which, judging off that stop, it looks like these guys are going to have to pit again. You got to wonder, what can James Keir do now? He's lost maybe a second and a half there. So what can he really do to try and help himself catch back up?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Now we're going to have to see, again, when we do get here with Chad, whenever he decides to come into the pits, as we're on board there. Well, not anymore. We are now following along here with Chad. He is in that super speedway section, about to come up to the bus stop. Gonna have to see if he decides to pit. He saw James Keir come in last lap. Now, how long does Chad want to run it? He may not know, unless he's keeping track of pit stop times, that James has put tires on. So if Chad also decides to put tires on, this is where James can really make some moves. But if Chad comes in and just takes fuel, I don't think James is going to have enough time to get back up to him, because just taking fuel is going to be plenty to get that car to the end, even on old tires, because that was a very long pit stop for James Keir, especially missing the pit stop.
Yeah, but you got to think, even with those fresher tires, I don't believe they've taken tires yet in this race as Chad Sipe elects to stay out a lap again. I don't believe in the hour and 16 minutes that these cars have been running, I don't believe any of the TCR drivers have taken new tires. So James Keir, if he can take advantage of those fresh tires and start to make up some ground with them, if he can just get them nice and warmed up after a lap or two, he could start to make net gains towards Chad Sipe.
So I don't know if this overlay is playing tricks with my head or not again. But that blue and black Mercedes you were talking about earlier is closing the gap and closing the gap rapidly on that second place car of Jake Ham. About 1.7 seconds now. And I don't know if Bobby has already stopped. And nope, there it is. Of course, the overlay changes itself the second we go to it. So never mind. Yeah, this GT3 battle looks like it's just about over. But I say that interval between Jake Ham and Josh Clogg is now only 10 seconds, meaning Josh Clogg has come into the pits. The question is Jake going to have to stop again? And is Jake going to have enough tire left to get to Josh? I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not.
Well, I do want to take a look at the pit strategy stints here to just see what Jake Ham has done and when Jake Ham last pitted. There it is. Looks like Jake last pitted, looks like 6 laps ago for himself. So, it's like they've been running 10 lap stints, just about that. And with how long a lap is for these cars, and it looks like he's on lap 6 of his stint, I do believe that Jake Ham can make it to the end. If he might have to save just a tad bit of fuel on his part, but Josh Clogg, Bobby Ross, Paul Mikulajczyk, they can all definitely make it to the end on fuel. But if Jake Ham wants to hold on to this P2, he's going to either have to splash and go or try and save some fuel to maybe make a move on Josh Clogg if Josh does end up making a mistake, which honestly, with how crazy this race has been, I wouldn't be shocked if it does happen.
You know Bobby is kicking himself right now. He has the car. He had the pace to get up there with Josh. Just made a few minor mistakes. Not really much damage on that Mercedes that I can see. He's just spun it off a few times, locked it up, but so has Josh. The problem is, as Jerry DiPiero goes off track and comes back on track, doesn't seem to be hurting him that much, though. The problem is Josh has been able to recover much better than Bobby has. And this, I have to say, if it ends like this, is the one that got away from Bobby.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for him here tonight. Like you said, he had the car, he had the pace, and just unfortunate series of events and mistakes on his part leads him to be wondering why he's 52 seconds out of the leader. So definitely not the worst race on his part. He has still played the cards he's been dealt, I would say, in a correct fashion, but just unfortunate for him to just be so consistent and so fast, only to end up P3 with just under 11 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come back here, maybe to Bobby again, as we do see this guy. Oh, this guy. What can we say about Josh Clogg, Alex? Every time we see him in a race, he is just always at the front, battling for the front. Runs a 144.691 or 641 on lap 39, which is flying compared to everybody else out on track at the moment. So, yeah, I think Josh is now just trying to pump in some serious laps. He knows he's got the gas, and I would probably expect he's gone in, probably put tires on. I would expect another fastest lap out of this guy before the end of the race.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We know how fast he is.
Here we go.
We know that he can put stuff like this together, but Chad Sipe comes into the pits, and this is where this battle between James Keir and him is really going to take it up a notch. We're going to have to see if Chad Sipe takes tires here. It's not looking like
he's
it's
not
so
taking
far,
tires.
Which, yeah, and looks like that's just going to put him way out ahead of James Keir here. We're going to have to see. The pit road is extended here for the Daytona Road Course until you get to just about out of turn 1 on pit road. So you have to see where James Keir is, but it looks like Chad Sipe is going to end up maintaining that position easily. It looks like James Keir isn't even into frame.
Nowhere to be
as
found.
He comes through the International Horseshoe. So it looks like taking tires lost James Keir about 23 seconds combined with sliding through his box. So Chad Sipe plays his cards correctly, and it looks like unless he makes a mistake, he's going to end up with P4 for the TCR class.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's going to take an absolute miracle at this point for James Keir to be able to gain, like you said, now about 20 seconds in 9 minutes. I really don't see that one happening. And I don't think blowouts are a thing here in iRacing yet. I said yet. But with that being said, These guys have both put on a clinic. The racing around this track so far tonight, and it's not over yet. We've got Bobby Ross about 3 seconds now behind Jake Ham, and not knowing if Jake has to pit again, so there is still definitely a battle there for third in the GT3 class. But my goodness, can we say anything more? We haven't really covered him that much, and we should have covered him more. Eduardo Pecorini has just not put a foot wrong all night. And remember I said Josh Clogg was going to start pumping in those laps? 144.435 on that last lap. Let's see what Jake Ham runs as he comes across the line. He runs a 145.186. That is almost a full second faster for our race leader, Josh Clogg.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how much quicker Josh Clogg is currently. But honestly, the overlay was bugging out. I thought Jake Ham had pitted there, but looks like he has stayed out. And that just goes to show how fast Josh Clogg has been this race and how he has mastered this sunset into night and how he's just been able to keep that car clean up there even while facing mistakes and adversity from other drivers trying to take it away from him. He's controlled this race so very well, and he only has to wait for 7 more minutes, and he'll have won himself the final race of the Season 1 of the Cross Touring Cup.
Yeah, he absolutely has. So great race there by Josh Clogg. Trying not to jinx him now, because that would be that'd be so bad, wouldn't it, if Josh Clogg just maybe put a wheel off in the grass and made this a little bit interesting. Just kidding, Josh. Please don't. But yeah, right now, Jake Ham there solidly in second place. It's really just going to come down to if he has to stop again. Again, you can see the stops up there in the timing tower on your top left. He stopped on lap 36. So it's really is going to be close. Right now they're on lap 46. Jake he's going to be running on fumes. I think he's going to have to come in.
I don't know. We've seen how well the drivers in the GT3 class can save their fuel throughout the season here. And actually, you were talking about fast lap times. Josh Clogg does it one more time, improves by 0.5 to run
goodness.
a 1:43.947. And on a really worn-in track around an hour and 24 minutes into this race, that is just absolutely nothing short of incredible.
That is a full second. Now, over a full second faster is, oh my goodness, Josh tries to get around the outside of Jerry DiPiero coming through turn 5. I don't think Jerry saw him there, but Josh able to make the move, and you can see him. He has just now settled himself in. Had a few mistakes early, but we haven't seen or caught any mistakes here by Josh Clogg in the last 60 minutes of this race, which is incredible for a driver to be able to, I mean, in real life, it's tough to race for 60 minutes, right? These guys do it for 4 hours. But, man, you're staring at a computer screen for 90 minutes, and eyes start to get red, watery, dry, and Josh just is putting on a show right now.
Yeah, and Josh, he's really mastered it all that he has had to so far in this race, and he hasn't had to really do much ever since probably, I would say, 3 or maybe 2 quarters or halfway through this race. So he's been really just doing a nice job at keeping his car clean up there, just no mistakes, and just keeping the car nice and smooth, and just keeping that thing up front sitting pretty. And now he just has to keep it up for just a couple more minutes, and he'll have won the race.
Yeah, he really is doing a great job. You can see that 143.947 is white on his lap counter down there, which means he must have taken an off track. So that's not going to count it as his best lap. But he was 1.9 seconds faster as Jake Ham's in the pits. Jake Ham is in the pits. This is going to be where it gets interesting. Is Jake going to be able to get in and out ahead of Bobby Ross? Bobby is 42 seconds behind right now. Ham is already 30 seconds spent in the pit lane, 32, 33, 34. Bobby is going to be coming. He's going to be coming quick. This is going to be close. This is going to be really close.
Yeah, and we just really have to see what Jake Ham can do here as he comes out of the pits. It looks like he's just going to be able to keep it
Wow.
with a great distance in front of Bobby Ross. Nothing to worry about on his part, as actually I do believe we just saw Bobby in the background there. So, 5-stop race for Jake Ham, but it hasn't been slowing him down at all, and just shows you the pace he had, even with several mistakes that he had throughout the course of this race.
So you can
He's done a great job.
You can see the damage on the right front of that Lamborghini has been fixed. So he definitely came in. That may be why he was on a 5-stop strategy. Came in, got a quick repair, got that fixed, and is back out into the race there in second place. Really a great recovery drive there by Jake Ham, if I do say so myself. Oh my goodness, as Josh Clogg runs up 44.242, and that one does count as the fastest lap of the race. He is starting to turn some freaking Max Verstappen laps at this point, man.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going around this track in a Formula One car with how fast he's going. He's really just outclassing the field. He has the tires and the gas to do it. He really has nothing to worry about up there. Just able to have some fun, set some fast laps for himself. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the next time by will be the white flag lap.
I think it might be. We'll see. We're looking here about 1:44 was Josh's last lap and fastest lap. So we may get one more after this one. It's going to be very, very close. We're about to cross into that 1 hour, 28 minute mark now. So yeah, I think you might be right. This may be it.
Yeah, and if so, Josh Clogg just needs to keep it consistent for just over a lap now. He'll have won himself the race, like we've just been continuously mentioning it. He's just been keeping that car nice and clean up front, just riding pretty.
Man, he's
nothing
flying
really to worry
through that
about.
bus stop, isn't he?
Yeah, and as I mentioned, riding pretty, he really has been doing the exact opposite. He's been going for fastest lap almost every lap that he's been out there.
Yeah, he was absolutely flying through that bus stop. You could see that Porsche crying out as he was trying to get onto the curbs on the inside, the right side of that bus stop through turns 9 and 10, but he was able to make it stick. We'll see what Josh's lap is here, and it is a 1:44.308, just a little slower. He's got one more lap to make it happen. See if he can get down into the 143s officially with no off tracks, but he's got that number 88 car of James Keir. No, I'm sorry, not the number 88. Number 88 car of James Keir ahead of him. That's going to slow him up quite a bit. Man, that was close.
And it looks like just very great reflexive driving on Josh Clogg's part to just keep that car away from that Honda Civic. Like we mentioned with James Keir, he's had a great battle with Chad Sipe throughout the entire last third of this race. Doing a great job for himself. He's going to earn himself a nice top 5 here when it's all said and done. And just really nothing to worry about for either of those guys. Just very close contact right there, but a good reaction time from Josh Clogg keeps them from making contact.
Yep, this is going to be it here. We're still riding around the track here with Josh Clogg. Beautiful yellow and black paint job, that fiercely forward 199 car. Just done exactly everything he's needed to. He has got a GT3 and a TCR ahead of him. That would be Rob Neville. Yep, Rob Neville and Eduardo Pecorini there ahead of him. Doesn't matter. Coming through turns 3 and 4 of the Super Speedway. Turn 12 here if you're calling the corners on track. Doing everything he had to do tonight. Josh Clogg going to take the checkered flag, lap 50, hour-and-a-half race, season finale of Cross Touring Cup as he brings it across the line in style. Great drive there by Josh Clogg.
Yeah, and just spectacular showing from him tonight in this race. There's nothing really much you can say about it. It's just he had the pace, he had the car, and he had the speed, and he just quietly pulled away from the rest of the field. Just sat up there, just riding consistently for the final 2/3 of the race, and he was just able to keep the car clean, and he's won himself the final race of the Cross Touring Cup, and with that, he got 2 champions to crown. Bobby Ross, he's kept it consistent all season, showing up to almost every race and doing spectacular in all of them, has more than earned himself the title of champion for Season 1 of the Cross Touring Cup. And on the TCR side of things, it's really no big shock. Eduardo Pecorini ends up with the championship for himself after just an unbelievable season. It looks like the championship standings, there they are. And it looks like with Eduardo Pecorini besting Robert Schwenkler in this race, it will give him the championship for the TCR class. Just not much you can really say. It's just, what a season for that number 47 car.
It really was. And for Eduardo to come in late, Josh is just, whoa! He was trying to take the oval and definitely smacked the wall pretty hard there. But yeah, Eduardo came into the season late, and since he's been here, has won every race for the TCRs that he's attended. Unbelievable driving by Eduardo. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do next season, and that'll definitely be an interview question that we're going to ask him, what he's looking forward to if he's going to run next season. They ain't front-wheel drive cars anymore.
Yeah, and it's really going to take a toll on his driving style. We know how quick he is with these front-wheel drive TCRs, and so I'm honestly excited to see how he adjusts to a different car next season with his driving style meant to just go straight towards the TCRs.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have the race results up now, and that's going to be Josh Klog, 48 seconds ahead of Jake Ham, who comes home second. Bobby Ross, the last step on the podium for P3 in the GT3s. Paul Mikolajczyk comes home fourth, with Robert Neville coming home fifth. Eduardo Pecorini, first place in the TCRs. Go figure, with Jerry DiPiero there. Took second place. Didn't see that one coming. Rob Schwenkler comes home third. Chad Seep, I said it one final time, Chad, comes home fourth for the TCRs, with James Keir coming home fifth. Eric Whitner comes home sixth for the GT3s, 11th overall. Kevin Irwin comes home sixth for the TCRs, 12th overall. Jaden Darling comes home seventh for the GT3s, with Jimmy Howitt rounding out the field there in 14th position. But we do have some interviews we did, and they went away in the interview waiting booth. But
like Eduardo doesn't want to talk to us today.
Maybe not. He'll probably come back, knowing Eduardo. But they were getting a picture. That's what they were doing, and we could see it right there at the end. We could saw them all lined up there. But really, an absolutely wonderful way to end the season. While we're waiting for some of these interviews to come in, Alex, give me your highlights of this season here for Cross Touring Cup.
Well, I've had fun all season. It was the first league that I've covered with slow motion broadcasting, my first race here at Sebring, and ever since then I knew that just this league, not the biggest fields, but still just all the racing action you could ever think of, especially with this race here tonight at Daytona, and just with the racing all around. I mean, you had the battle between Chad Sipe and James Keir, but even that, with the battle up front between just four separate cars and Josh Klog, Paul Mikolajczyk, Bobby Ross, and Jake Ham, just all four of those guys just going neck and neck, just lap after lap, until eventually all cracked except one, and that was Josh Klog, who won the race. So really a fantastic job from everybody here tonight, and like you said, I couldn't think of a better way to end off the season here in the Cross Touring Cup.
It really was pretty impressive, but I'm going to give you the championship winner of Cross Touring Cup Season 1 for the GT3 class. We got Bobby Ross in the booth. I'll let you have him, Alex.
Oh, Bobby Ross, what to say? I mean, just fantastic season from you all around. Even in the event of races, you overcame the points deficit, and you're here tonight standing atop the podium, the champion of Cup Season 1.
Oh man, guys, what a phenomenal season. First off, my hat's off to Josh Klog. He had a phenomenal race tonight. Same thing with Jake Ham. I unfortunately messed up with pits. I thought that tire degradation was going to be a lot bigger than it originally was, so that's why I went on for tires, and that's why I had such a big gap at the end. But like you guys said, though, just a phenomenal season. I try to be consistent. I think, except for the race that I missed, I finished in the top 3 in all but one race. So in the end, it's consistency is key. But first off, I want to say thank you to Slow Motion Broadcasting. You guys have done phenomenal stuff with the broadcasting and stuff, and a huge shout out to the family members saying hi. I'm just short of breath, man. That is quite the workout with this.
Yeah, definitely. And how tough was it out there? I mean, I reckon you've done pretty long races yourself before, but how different was it coming into this race and knowing it was twice the distance of a normal Cross Touring Cup race?
Definitely more enduring, more tiring, especially at the end. But it was just you just got to work on the fuel strategy, which I was able to get at the very end. I had 0.8 gallons of fuel at the line, so I think I timed it just right. And I gotta say though, that first half of the race, that was something. Like me, Josh, Jake, and Paul at one point were really leading the race, and I think at one point everyone spun out. It was a hectic race overall, and yeah, I'm just so happy right now to be champion. I don't know what to say. Yeah, and I can just hear the excitement in your voice, man. Just my hat's off to you. You did a great job all season. Anybody you want to thank for being able to put yourself in this position at season's end? You got it. First off, I'd like to give a huge shout out to John DiMassino. He's watching me. Good friend of my family. Hey, John. Jody, Uncle Jody from Naples. Of course, all my friends and family who watched. And of course, I got to give a huge shout out to Rudy of Ricer Racing, Rohan, Jordan Hernandez, Henry Hernandez, Jerry DiPiero. And last of all, I would like to thank, I think I already said this before, but I'd like to thank Slow Motion Broadcasting. Alex, Adam, you guys have been phenomenal with the commentary. And hopefully I'll look forward to Season 2 with this.
Well, Bobby, I want to hop in here real quick and say congratulations to you, man. Well deserved. You were able to get a championship win, and doesn't seem like you're able to do it when you're racing me, but look out, because I'm coming for you next season in Cross Series League Racing and Cross Touring Cup. I'm going to be racing with you guys, so you may have a battle on your hands.
Oh, dude, I can't wait, dude. It's going to be so much fun, dude. And again, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Not a problem, Bobby. Congratulations, man, on your championship win. 3rd place tonight, but that doesn't matter at all. Crown champion here for Cross Touring Cup Season 1, and that's something nobody can ever take away from you, Bobby. Have a great night, man, and enjoy it.
Thanks. Same to you, too.
That was Bobby Ross there, finally getting a championship win after me knowing him for about 3 years. Well, 2 years, and finally able to get it done. But we're going to go ahead and bring down the first place tonight in the TCRs, first place in the championship, first place in every race he ran in Cross Touring Cup this season, and that's going to be Eduardo Pecorini. Congratulations, Eduardo, on your season win. You needed to beat Rob Schwenkler. You did it, and you won the race tonight. Congratulations again. Walk me through the race tonight. A bit different than what we've raced in the past. How was that transition from daytime to nighttime?
Thanks, man. The transition from day to night is something I already knew, so I was expecting it, and it's okay. Actually, when you're at night, the track is cooler and the grip is higher. So as you could see, the times on the race were pretty close to qualifying times. So I liked the night.
Yeah, I can tell you like the night. You finished about 45 seconds ahead of your closest competitor there of Jerry DiPiero in 2nd place, a fellow Risa guy as well. So cool to see him up there in 2nd place. But if I had to ask you, give me the one takeaway you had from this season. Give me some of your favorite moments you had here in Cross Touring Cup of Season 1.
No, every race, man, it's been a lot of fun, and having a league very well organized like this one, it's always fun to run, clean races and everything. So I enjoyed every race, man.
Yeah, that is awesome. So as you know, now I believe I can say it on stream, we're going to the GT3s and the GT4s next season. Which car are you going to take, and are you going to race? Are you going GT3s or GT4s?
I'm going GT3s, man. I really like to be on the top category for the race, so you are not being lapped by everyone, because that's not fun. So I'm gonna go GT3s and take a punch to the fast guys.
Well, you gotta start racing your fellow Risa teammate up there, fellow Risa guy, Bobby Ross. I told him I'm coming for him. Maybe you can take him out for me. But congratulations, Eduardo. Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Always to you guys for everything you do, and everyone watching, Risa guys, and my family who supports me, and it's not killing me for being so many hours on this rig, man. So thanks everyone.
All right, Eduardo. Well,
see you around, Adam.
All right, I will see you around. I'll see you in the car on track next season here for Cross Touring Cup. And until then, have a great off season, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, White.
That was Eduardo Pecorini there in the first place in the TCR class, first place in the championship as well. Did a great job. Now we're going to bring in, I know we're doing this a little different, we're going to bring in Robert Schwenkler here. Actually, can we bring in, do we have Josh Clogg? We don't. So Robert Schwenkler going to be coming in. Alex, I'll give him over to you. Finished third tonight, but second in the championship for the TCR class. He's all yours, Alex.
Well, Robert, what can I say? You did all you could, but at the end of the day, man, that Hyundai was just too fast for you, huh?
Yeah, if I hadn't got caught up in that weird melee at the very beginning, it would have been a different story. But, stuff happens. You roll with the punches. I mean, I think I recovered as best I could have. I mean, obviously I was on a different strategy than the rest of the guys, so I was hoping somebody would be dumb enough to take tires and spend 45 seconds in the pits, but that didn't happen.
Well, hang on. 1 second. 1 second here, Rob. Because you're now talking about a fellow XTC admin. There was someone dumb enough to spend 45 seconds in the pits and take tires, and that was James Keir.
Oh, well.
He was racing with Chad Seep, and his final pit stop, he decided with 15 minutes left to go in the race that it would be a good idea to come into the pits, blow through his pit stall, and take tires with gas. So, going to go ahead and give him a little bit of crap for that one. But anyways, Rob, continue, man. Sorry about that. Alex, he's all yours.
Well, looks like might have a bit of a fight there. Not gonna lie, between yourselves. So, I bid you good luck. But anyways, back to the race. I mean, do you think, I know you definitely mentioned something about it, I know you had a lot of raw speed at this race. Do you think that this could have been the day where you would have been able to catch up to Eduardo Pecorini if you weren't involved in that little fight for position there early?
No. I mean, he was still, I think, a good second faster than me, so absolutely not. And the killer to it is, like, I didn't get any practice in hardly at all for this race, unfortunately, just due to other commitments. And Pecco the same. I talked to him yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, I haven't turned a lap here yet." So he's got the talent outright, and he's gonna smoke me every time. So hats off to him. I'm glad he won. I don't know if you guys figured out the points, but he won by 2 points. So shout out to him.
Yeah. And I'm gonna ask this to all the open drivers that I can for next season, but I knew you were probably expecting this coming into this into the booth with us here. So, what car are you going to pick for next season? Because we're switching to the GT3s and the GT4s. So, which class are you switching to, and what car are you going in?
I'm gonna stay in the second class. I'm gonna go with GT4s. At this point, I'm probably just going to roll with the Aston. I seem to have the knack for it and do pretty well. So I think if I put in the time, I can finish up on the box more often than not. So I think that's my strategy for next season.
Yeah, so definitely a great job for me tonight. Just couldn't get it done at the end of the day, but still a great and consistent season from you. So, just anybody you want to thank for being able to come up here at the end of the day?
Big shout out to all the drivers for showing up as much as they could. I know not everyone showed up every week, but yeah, we couldn't do it without these guys showing up. So big props to them. Shout out to James Keir and Paul Mikolajczyk for all their help throughout the season. They've been helping me admin the league. And again, couldn't do it without them. Shout out to you guys for picking us up and doing the broadcast. It's been awesome to watch you guys hone your craft over the season. Looking forward to next season as well. Shout out to all the friends and family and my girlfriend Frankie for putting up with me. Yeah, looking forward to next season.
All right, well, that's all I got for you. Have a good night, man. I'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That was Robert Schwenkler there, finished second overall in the championship. Not second overall, sorry. Second in the TCR class in the championship. Third tonight. We've got Jake Ham we're going to bring in here real quick like. Jake took second tonight, and I'll give him over to you, Alex. But, Jake, before I do that, you were the only guy on a 5-stop strategy, Jake, and you took it up to second place. So congratulations on that.
It's not what was planned, but I'll take it.
All right, awesome. All right, Alex, it's all you.
Well, Jerry, or excuse me, Jake, I thought you were Jerry for a second there. I apologize about that one. My apologies there, but definitely had a lot of mistakes there behind the wheel of that Lamborghini, but you're still able to get it up at P2 at the end of the day. My question is how?
Great question. I messed up from the very beginning and didn't change my brake bias, and so that caused my car to snap on those few times that I spun. And I thought Clog and I were going to have a really good race there. We were staying in each other's draft, and then Paul was up there too. It was really good, battling, between us all. And but able to get back, I think I was able to drive it deeper into pit lane. And I think I caught maybe like 4 to 5 seconds on Clog every time I went into the pits. So but I had to pit early that one time because I had to use a fast repair, and unfortunately couldn't make up the difference.
Yeah, and you still did a great job there for yourself. So I gotta ask, I know that you were able to make up a decent amount of time on pit road, but on the track and just being in a race where you can't really see what your opponents are doing, just how difficult was it there to keep your foot down and keep the car consistent to end up P2 at the end of the day?
Very difficult. I think the experience, so I was actually on a 24-hour Daytona team that won, and so I had an opportunity to race against a ton of people and ride out there by myself for hours on end without seeing anybody. And so I think that just helped me gain a little bit of experience, just kind of keeping the pace. So I think that overall that helped out.
Well, you still did a great job for yourself and a great job all throughout this season. Anybody you want to thank for being able to just being so consistent every week and just always improving every single time you hit the track?
Well, my awesome retro paint scheme obviously makes me super fast by Mike Browning. And then SMB Broadcasting, obviously you both. And then, just thanks for hosting and being awesome commentators.
All right, well, that's all I got for you on this, Adam.
Now, Jake, I got one more thing for you. We're going to GT3s and GT4s next season here in Cross Touring Cup. Which class are you choosing, and what car and why?
Definitely GT3. I'm super torn between the Fifi, the Lambo, and the Benz. So, got to figure it out.
Decisions. Well, I'm going to see you out on track here next season for Cross Touring Cup, and so we'll definitely get some wheel-to-wheel time here. But anyways, Jake, thanks so much for your time, and have a great night, great weekend, and we'll talk to you again here soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Jake Ham there. Finished second tonight. So we got one more. Best for last here. Gonna bring in the old guy. The guy that hasn't really been around until the last race. Yeah, he's racing at Daytona. It's his home state. But anyways, we got Jerry DiPiero down here. Jerry, congratulations on your second place. I first want to mention, it wasn't that easy for you at the beginning. You and Rob Schwenkler were having some serious battles.
Oh, and Chad too. Chad was in that mix for a little bit.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that was interesting. You believe in luck? Well, that was me today.
Well, I wouldn't really call it luck because you really started to pull out some gaps there on him after some of the pit stops. And definitely, I would say, maybe the most consistent guy, easily the second fastest guy tonight, behind your Risa friend, Risa teammate, whatever you want to call him there, up there with Eduardo Pecorini. Let's be honest, nobody was catching him. But
No.
any takeaways you got from this season, Jerry, in this TCR? I mean, really, were you that used to it before you came into this season? And what did you think of it after?
Not at all. I thought it was going to be like more fun. They're not bad cars. I like them, but I'm just not a front wheel drive person.
All right.
I like them though, but I'm really gonna like the next season, which was I guess GT3s and GT4s. That's gonna be more interesting and a lot of fun, I think.
Thank you for leading me into my next question, Jerry.
Here you go.
What are you running and why?
I think I'm gonna run the BMW and the GT4.
Oh,
I like the balance in that car for some reason.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's a first. I haven't heard that one yet tonight, but
Yeah.
anyways, looking forward to next season. You had a great season one here, Cross Touring Cup. Looking forward to covering it again. But before I let you go, Jerry, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yes, I'm gonna thank Slow Motion Broadcast. That was really good for you. I'm proud of you. Glad you're doing this, and you guys do a pretty good job at broadcasting. I want to thank admin. I want to thank Rob. Rob, he really showed up for this one. This is definitely his baby. So yeah, that's good on him.
Well, yeah, thank you, Jerry. Thank you for the shout out. And yeah, Rob definitely deserves a shout out. And again, guys, if you're looking to join a league that has some different class racing, it's a great league to join. As Eduardo put it, very well put together, very organized league, Cross Touring Cup. It's in the description in the YouTube channel. Hope to see some of you guys out there that have been watching all season long. They're on track next season. But with that being said, Jerry, you're our last interview of the night, man. So I hope you have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk to you hopefully next season soon.
Yeah, it's almost 1 o'clock, so yeah, sure.
All right, Jerry, have a great night.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that was Jerry DiPiero there, and that rounds out the interviews for the final time of Season 1 in Cross Touring Cup. So, Alex, kind of gave me your takeaways from this season, and let me give you mine. We came into this, Slow Motion Broadcasting came into this brand new before we started. I'm sorry, I'm watching all of these Discord chats going back and forth right now. But anyways, we came in brand new, and Cross Touring Cup was the first league that we picked up. And Rob, this was a brand new league that Rob Schwenkler had put together, and Slow Motion Broadcasting kind of got put together at the same time. And Rob took a chance on us, and I want to give a huge shout out to Rob as well for everything he's done for me here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Really been a vital part of getting this off the ground and going and getting great broadcasters and producers like you and Ian that we have here tonight. So yeah, it really has been a great experience for me, and the racing has just gotten better. But I want my high moment of this season has to be tonight. The racing we saw tonight, Alex, was probably the best I think we've seen all season, and it just happened to be a 90-minute race.
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. Easily my favorite race of all the season, of the whole season. We had everything you could ever want from a race, just from the overtakes, the battles, to the pitch strategy, to the mistakes, and we just had everything we could have wanted. And what better way to end it off within the last race of the season?
It really was, but just because we're signing off for the final time in Season 1 here of Cross Touring Cup doesn't mean we're signing off for the final time for Cross Touring Cup. We will be back for Season 2, and I will get that schedule pulled up for you as quick as possible and let you know kind of the broadcast schedule if you're still interested in watching Cross Touring Cup. The first race is going to be June 27th at Barber Motorsports Park. And again, remember, they are going to GT3s and GT4s next season. I'm going to say it one more time. If you guys are interested in joining Cross Touring Cup, the link to the Discord is in the YouTube description for this video. Get in there, join the league. You won't be disappointed. You saw the racing tonight. There was a bit of argy-bargy, but the racing for the most part was so clean, so close, so great. But for the final time of Season 1, my name is Adam Thompson. I've been joined in the commentary booth by Alex Andersen. The production tonight, for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, was Ian Fisher. Did such a great job. So, it's almost Thursday morning here in Phoenix. And I know it's Thursday morning for you guys there on the East Coast. So have a great Thursday morning. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend as well, guys. Bye-bye.